Wait, we are here. Hello, viewer. It is Sunday, November 20th, 2022. I am Mr. Brown, and I trust you are all very well today. On this evening stream, we usually discuss the news of the week. Specifically today, we will talk a little about Wakanda Forever and some Indy 5 news. So, as I always say, folks, lots to get through. Shall we get the guests out? Of course we should. First up, he is the backbone of Sunday night. He's been away for a few weeks, but he's back. It is the mighty Matt Katz, 8-3.
What's up, nerds?
Hey,
Yay.
Yo, pal. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too bad.
It's good.
How's the channel going, my friend?
I mean, it's good, slowly but surely, but it's good.
Slow and steady.
Yes, wins the race.
You've been away for a few weeks. How's life treating you? Good, yes?
Yeah, life is good. I got a little bit of a cough, so I might, mute myself every now and then. No, my son, he started school this year, so he brought home a cough from one of the little mongrels that he goes to school with. So, then he gave it to me.
The breeding ground that is school.
Yeah, those little walking incubators of viral plague.
They are indeed. You know what my next question is, don't you?
I do, and I say, bring him out.
Let's get the next guest out. Okay, back by popular demand, meaning me. Problem Being is here, everybody.
Hello.
Hey. Hello there.
Hello. Yeah, popular demand, my ass.
Are you back on Twitter yet, friend?
No, apparently I'm more dangerous than Donald Trump. I'm still banned. I actually had I put another appeal in ages ago. Obviously took a while, and then I think it was the day before everyone got the sack. They sent me a message saying that my account was permanently suspended, shall not be reinstated. So I think they did that just to make sure before they got the boot. So I put in another one.
Crossing the T's, dotting the I's and all that. Okay.
Too dangerous.
I quite fancy applying for a job at Twitter. What about you? There's some vacancies.
I think I'm overqualified. I can think.
I think we all are.
Yeah. Plus, I have an aversion to superficial assholes. Yeah.
Well, you've come to the right place,
it might change. Well, I'm not sure, but I'll take
it. Okay, so everything good, my friend, yes?
Yes, I've been decorating, and it's been backbreaking. Yeah, I know. Very exciting.
Shall we get the next guest out?
No, I think we should just stay here. Okay, go on then.
Okay, next. Movies are the game. Cynic is the name. The movie Cynic.
Boosh.
Hello there.
Hello, that is the best intro. Thank you.
It took me all of 10 seconds.
Well, you're a genius, Mr. Brown. That's why.
Moving on. Are you well, my friend?
I am. How are you guys? I'm feeling lively today. How are you?
Feeling frisky.
I am.
How's the channel going? It's going pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, channel's going great. Hoping to go full time on YouTube starting next month.
Get in.
I am. That's the deal.
I will say to all the lovely new viewers who I can see, all the links to these wonderful guests are in the description, and we've got some top modding going on. So everything good, movie? Yes.
Everything is good. Besides the demonetization of that Rings of Power video about 9 or 10 days ago, but I think everything's worked itself out. Everything's good.
Fantastic. You know what my next question is, don't you?
I do, and please bring out the next guest.
Okay. This is what the 100 people are waiting for. There is good inside our next guest. He is a YouTube, I would say big boy, but I'm going to say legend in his own lifetime. It's Lord Cord.
Good evening.
Hello there.
I'll take Big Boy because that's true, but Legend is maybe not.
We demand proof.
How are you doing, Lord?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I will say to the uninitiated, on this channel, the wonderful little platoon, Lost Chord, has been promoted to Lord, the Lord. Praise be the Lord.
The Lord.
Yes. How did your wonderful premiere go? It looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. I had about 2.6 thousand fellow racist deplorables in the chat with me. So I'm going to give it like an hour before that video is cancelled or demonetized or something, because they did push the boundary a bit there.
Are they? Were they all adjacent?
As
Yes,
in
just say yes.
to white people,
Racist.
probably, yes.
Fascist adjacent, yeah.
And fascist adjacent, yeah, all the adjacents.
Yes, all of them.
So it looks like everything's going well in Platoonland, yes?
It's going quite nicely. I've got I'm officially, but for a super secret thing I can't talk about, I'm my kind of official job title. I'm also a writing consultant these days, apparently, for some reason. So I sort of like I have to split my time now between video editing and doing this very exciting thing that I'm not allowed to talk about. So sorry, but it's fun. It just requires a bit of time management that I haven't quite got the hang of yet.
Go ahead and tell us. We won't tell anybody. You can
I
tell us.
can't, because I would go to prison.
Time management, you mean getting up before 4 a.m., 4 p.m.?
It's kind of the opposite. I was up until 8:30 this morning finishing that video that went out an hour ago. So
Tough at the top, my friend. Tough at the top.
Yeah, but it's all fun.
Speaking of tough at the top, shall we get the last body out?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. And last but by no means least, yep, he is the wise elder of the channel. You know the rest. He is the great mega geek himself, Ian David Diaz. Hello there.
Who's on mute?
Sorry, hi. Yeah, no, I'm back. Oh, what you people, I tell you.
How are you?
I'm okay, mate. How you doing? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, we're good.
Wow.
It's good to be amongst my friends. Yeah.
For the last time.
Yeah, for the last time. Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, I do like this lineup: Matt and Problem and Movie Cynic and the Lord. I love it. It's great. Can't wait to get stuck in. Can't wait.
What about the presenter?
Nah, he's
Moving
rubbish. Let's move on.
Okay, so let's get some graphics up. Here we go then. I'll just say, hello, chat. We can see you. Hello.
Hello.
We see you.
Hello.
Hello there. Hello
We
there.
do.
Okay, so episode 102. Wow.
Bloody hell.
Can you believe it? 102 of these. End of week musings, Sunday, November 20th. 2022. Okay, you can see.
You've made it so Indy looks like he's got earrings.
Well, he has.
Actually have.
Yes.
It's the
That's
latest
also-
midlife crisis I've ever seen.
That'll be Waller Bridge.
He's gone
That's
Shoreditch.
why he's got, yeah, that's why he's got
Yeah,
earrings.
Shoreditch twat look. I love it. Very good.
He does look old. Though.
Um,
God, he looks old.
I
A
know.
free eye test for the 101 people watching Mr. Brown Alliance. Please like, share, subscribe. If you can read that, you do not need to go to Specsavers, so you're welcome.
Other eye specialists are available.
Ugh.
In the UK. Shall we start with this? Because I do believe
No.
somebody was coming off the back of a premiere.
Yay.
Yay! This is it Wakanda or Wakander? I can't remember.
Or as a
It's a-
TikToker said, Wakanda, where all the men at?
There was also
Wanker forever.
That woman on
Forever
TikTok, she got
and ever
banned.
and ever. Did
Didn't
she?
Got
Really?
kicked off. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for her because she didn't say anything wrong.
No, she didn't. It just gave her opinion on it.
Yeah.
That's that.
Oh well, that
She got
bodes
banned,
well
That's
for
not
me.
allowed.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch your video, Platoon. I'll have to watch it after this, though.
I guarantee whatever she
Black
said,
people
mine
can't
is probably about
criticize this.
yeah.
One at a time, please, boys. One at a
Well, I was
time.
gonna say, if she got banned from Twitter, I'm pretty sure that anything I've said is going to be about
I think we're all gonna
10,000
get
times
banned.
worse.
You will be close behind her.
And there's
Platoon.
I've got the white premium as well, white privilege of anything I say that's negative about
Easy.
a thing that is stereotypically supposed to be part of black culture means that it's even more racist. So I'm screwed. Fantastic.
But
it's a
Lord,
Wakanda
maybe you should
forever
put
basis.
a different accent on, you know, like a working class accent. Maybe you'll get away with it.
He,
You know?
he doesn't know what one of those is.
I
But
do.
geezer as
Okay.
it can.
I went to school with some poor people. I know what it's like.
So did I. So did I. Okay, so
You know, the
So-
riffraff and all that.
Wakanda Forever. I think the Lord should go first.
Oh, good.
It's hot off the press, as it were. So yeah, thoughts?
Yeah.
Major bed.
Well, like the Wakander moniker, I haven't used because it's an interesting one to sort of analyze from the woke perspective. It's not. I wouldn't say it was stereotypically woke. That's not to say it isn't woke, but it's not. It's not quite so boilerplate as like your average Twitter user would understand the term. There is a bit more to it than that. Obviously, it's bookended, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, by these funeral segments, which do look like they've just been bolted on to a generic Marvel film. But the sort of the emotional weight that they enter the film does sort of seep through, and they do try and tie the memorializing of Chadwick Boseman into the film through Shuri's character. One or two occasions that they're successful. By and large, they're not, because they have to keep distracting us with mermen and attack whales and the usual MCU
Yeah, I saw that.
horseshit. But
Unbelievable.
it's a complex film in the sense that there's a lot wrong with it, and it's many different strands. It's not like Thor: Love and Thunder was, which was just objectionable, cheap, and shallow all the way through. This one touches a number of different irritating bases, which is part of the reason when I sat down to do the review and I thought, I'll do a Thor: Love and Thunder, I'll get this out of the way in 30 minutes, and then recorded the script, and it was 2.5 hours long. And so I've had to, split that up into 3 parts. Were there things to like about there probably were a couple of things to like about the film, but those were mostly the moments which weren't part of the film proper. The
Shall
funeral
we say
moments.
what is good about the film? What's it done well? Everybody's obviously everybody's ragging on it.
Yeah,
must
the
have done something
memorializing segments, I think, by and large, work. The one at the end in particular does work. The one at the beginning sort of works, except that you have that sort of George Floydification of funerals, where you have quite distinctively American iconography with the billboards and the murals. And I kind of find that a little bit tacky and overdone. But the one at the end in particular, that does work. Occasional moments when it goes quiet and they actually get a chance to talk, those are sometimes done reasonably well. And there was one very strong performance from Queen Ramonda. I don't remember the actress's name.
Angela Bassett.
Angela Bassett. She's very good pretty much throughout.
Great actress.
And even occasionally Shuri isn't bad. And it has a couple of half-decent lines, again, way above the average for most Marvel films. It's a shame that they then tied it into the most absurdist plot. And of course that Wakanda makes no sense. Now they have finally managed to create one faction that makes less sense than Wakanda in the Aztec Mer people. So if you were telling me at the beginning this is going to be a sincere, heartfelt memorial to Chadwick Boseman, I would not have expected you then to start talking about Aztec mermen riding whales to attack UFOs. But that's the culture.
So it's not good, is it? Movie. You've seen this, haven't you?
I did. I put out a review of it last week.
You did indeed.
I did indeed. And I think I agree with Platoon, of course, that they did they honored Chadwick Boseman well. And I think that's kind of the problem of the movie is, like, in universe, T'Challa hadn't really accomplished enough in order for us to mourn him as much. So, like, they're mourning him in the way in the movie that we feel about Chadwick Boseman. So it's kind of emotionally confusing. Because, like I said, in world, like, what has T'Challa really accomplished? He didn't really do too much, and that's not the character's fault. He didn't have enough time. So it's a little weird, and the ending, it's like bookended by two very good things honoring T'Challa. The last one, the end of the movie, is probably the best. And the actress who plays Shuri is very good doing it. Otherwise, I liked. In my review, I like just tearing apart the movie as its foundation of its plot is just rooted in pudding. It makes no fucking sense under any, like, even remote scrutiny. So you can just tear it apart that way. It's long, it's bloated, it's almost 3 hours long. The pacing is all over the place. It tries to accomplish 4 or 5 different things. and one of them is honoring T'Challa. They do that well, but they have to introduce Riri Williams as a character. They have to introduce a new antagonist, and he's ridiculous both as a character and the actor sucks. And I'm just calling it like I see it. He sucked, and they have to move the MCU forward. And overall too, what I've just as an anecdote, I've found the most interesting is the comment section has been, "You are racist for purposely mispronouncing Namor's name." And if you do a basic Google search, Namor is a fucking comic book created name. It's not linked to any ethnicity or real world culture. So I guess I just hate blue people, and I rest my case.
Here you go. In the chats, actually, Andrew, Wakanda Forever is like a sandwich with some good bread, but the meat is bland, tastes like every other burger, and isn't even real meat. So I do not know if I'm making any sense. I think I'm just hungry. I think that makes perfect sense.
It does.
Matty, thoughts?
I do not like this movie. I mean, I know you guys thought that they honored Chadwick Boseman, but I felt differently. I thought, like, when they had him die from cancer at the beginning, I was all like, are they mocking him right now with this bullshit? And then, and then the whole time I'm just like, I was like, I don't know. I don't get it. Like, I mean, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't care enough to really like get upset about it. This movie, like, okay, first off, I love how in this movie, white people are all colonizers and all they want to do is steal everyone's lands and resources. And it's hilarious how they've taken this liberty, considering the whole series wouldn't even exist if it weren't for Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, two white men. It just really is a kind of annoying. And plus they're all like, ooh, diversity. But diversity is only about skin color, because even though we have a bunch of black female characters in this movie, they all have the same personality and the same motivations. Queen Ramonda, more like Queen Melodrama. I found her kind of a little bit annoying. And apparently, it's unusual to be a extremely smart and black female, because this movie treats it like it's something we've never seen before. I mean, women can be just as strong as men and less emotional, and there is no biological or innate difference between men and women according to this movie. And it really is frustrating. Like, I was getting so mad. I'm like, how is Shuri fighting Namor right now? Because she made some 3D printed plant. What is that all about?
You racist.
No,
it's Cool Khan. It's Cool Khan. Yeah, and everything. Cocoa Puffs. Okay. Anyway, so and then I love how this movie loves to criticize America and call Americans xenophobic and nationalistic and say that we're insular and everything. But then when an African nation is xenophobic, insular, and nationalistic, it's okay. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Kick rocks, because I'm not in the mood for this nonsense.
They actually have that bit, don't they, where there's the sinister CIA meeting between Bilbo Baggins and President Selina Meyer,
Right.
where and they're talking to the CIA guy, and he says, we're considering taking direct action. We're going to destabilize Wakanda. And you think, oh my goodness, you're a boilerplate undergraduate leftist who's heard the word destabilization. But the film portrays this as a really bad negative thing. I just can't help but know that Wakanda has its own CIA that does all the stuff the CIA does, arguably worse. We're not aware of any Wakandan black sites, obviously, but I'm sure there are some. But they have no respect for other nations' territorial integrity or political consistency at all. It's complete nonsense. And the film doesn't even understand what destabilization means either, because it immediately goes toward military action. But it also misses sort of the implicit critique of Wakanda in that moment, because if you have a country with a stable political system, with competing institutions, with a long-established democratic tradition, you can't just hand a bag of money to a warlord and have the entire country overthrown. So if you're saying that we can destabilize Wakanda, that's probably an implicit criticism, though the writers don't realize it, of the Wakandan model, which allows you to determine your ruler by having a warlord kick another warlord off the waterfall. because you can't destabilize a stable country. It's very hard to do that. If you're saying you can do that to Wakanda, then you're basically portraying Wakanda as just as backward and unformed politically and civically as any other boilerplate African nation, which is another example of how this film tries to portray an authentic African culture on screen, but its entire frame of reference is American. And sort of going back to what you were saying earlier about it being, it's a very spiritually empty film. They've got all of these different disparate rituals. They like doing all of the dances. They have all of the costumes, but there's actually nothing African about any of it. It's completely hollow and empty. There's no religion. There's no faith. There's no real tribal culture to speak of. It's just this ritual looks African, so we're going to have that. Thank you very much. It's such an American thing.
I was going to say, is it Hollywood's what they think African culture is in their mind?
Oh God, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So surely that's an insult to African culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I also, okay, did anybody else get Namor's like motivation in terms of, he's like, hey, if you don't find this little girl and kill her for me, I'm going to destroy your nation. And I'm all like, why don't you, what's going on here? This is ridiculous.
I've got part two of my critique is there's a long section on that, because his motivation changes. It's, I need you to kidnap Science Girl for me because I want to stay hidden. If you don't do that, I will invade you, which will get you noticed. Then it's, well, okay, maybe she can stay alive, but only if she lives in Wakanda, and I still want to stay hidden, and that's fine. Then it's, you must join me and nuke the world, otherwise I will invade you, both of which are a fanatical commitment to world war, which would reveal you, and then at the end of the film, it goes back to being my motivation is to stay hidden again. He's an impossible character to try and get a handle on, and it's not portrayed as Machiavellian, it's not portrayed as scheming, it's not a deliberate sort of he's going with events, it's just that the writers clearly did not have a clue what his motivation was when they were writing it.
Seems to be the Disney way of not having a clue about anything nowadays. Ian, have you watched Wakanda Forever yet?
You're on mute. I think he's just gone to sleep.
No, hold on. Sorry, I was coughing. I didn't want to disturb the Lord's.
Oh, sorry, I got you sick.
Sorry. No,
Ian, have you watched this yet?
I unfortunately I did. And,
Mhm.
and well, I was dragged.
What are your thoughts then?
I walked out halfway through.
Really?
I'll just say to everybody at home, Ian is a real life movie director.
Oh, really?
Real deal.
I wish that was true.
Or so he told us.
Yeah, exactly.
So you walked out?
Yeah, I walked out halfway
Wow.
through because
Good for
I
you.
literally found this disgusting and insulting to the black race. Literally found it was just and you know what? I wasn't the only one that walked out. There was
Wow.
there was a couple of black people about 5 rows above me that walked out. One of them just kissed his teeth. I don't know if guys know what kiss your teeth means.
Will I lose my monetization if you tell us?
No. Well, black people do this when they peed. They go like that.
Ah.
So that's called kissing your teeth.
Oh,
So,
well,
yeah,
well, I
so-
do that as well. So
A couple of people was like,
Wow.
and I heard them go, "This is insulting," and then they left the cinema. And then 15 minutes
Jeez.
later, I left because I just thought it's social engineering. That's what it is. And what makes me laugh is that the whole film pretends to be celebrating black culture and stuff. Yet every penny's going to go back to Disney to make more woke rubbish.
Mhm.
And it's just I agree with Matt Cat. Actually, I agree that the beginning didn't really honor Chadwick. If it did, they would have had, because let's face it, Chadwick has a mask on his face, right? So they would have had him do something really heroic and then died or
Yeah.
got killed or something like. But they didn't do that because they could have easily done that. So in other words, what it is an insult to the character Black Panther, and it's an insult to the actor because they didn't give him something
Chadwick
that was
Boseman.
heroic.
He was
because-
he's a great actor.
yeah. And all I wanted to do was sweep him under the carpet so the girls could take over. And I just got really insulted by the whole thing. My brother stayed and he watched the rest of it. And I just said to Richard, I said, I can't watch this. I really can't watch this. And I said, I'm going. And he goes, well, I'm going to stay. And I said, well, knock yourself out, mate. Because obviously he's a normie and he doesn't really understand what's going on. So, but I just think this is just really bad how they're trying to, just kind of persuade people that this is the thing to, and I've seen the behind scenes as well on the red carpet. The amount of nonsense these people are talking, it is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
they're
can't.
just sniffing their own farts.
Yeah, I can't express myself as good as the Lord or movie cynic, but what I can say is I find this film insulting to me personally as a man of color, and I walked out. That's where I stopped.
You know, it's funny you
Wow.
said the social engineering
Wow.
thing. I said the same thing in my review about at the end when Okoye, she frees Martin.
I never
Freeman's
saw the
character.
end.
Oh, right. Well, at the end, she frees Martin Freeman's character, and she opens up the back of the truck where he's being transported as a prisoner, and she goes, "A colonizer in chains. Now I've seen everything." And my crowd was like exactly what Disney wanted. My crowd went, yeah, like didn't matter what color you were. Everyone's socially engineered to be like, whether you're white or not, to be like, yeah fuck you.
That's
And I said in my review, I said the social engineering is strong with this one.
Yeah,
It is.
That's depressing to think that it's actually been that
I
successful.
snickered. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I couldn't believe it.
If I may, to the honkies on the panel, did you go see the film the first weekend?
I went the
No.
opening evening, like the Thursday night.
Well, so you took a ticket from a POC. You took a ticket from a person.
You know, there were
of
plenty
Yeah.
of empty seats, so that's not.
That's
my
not the
problem.
point, though.
No, you should have been lying in front of the door to make sure that no one could get in and harm
You
the
know
black
what?
people
I
inside.
should have sat there and bought people tickets and filled those seats.
You should have been a white savior. That's what you
I
should have
should have
been.
What type of message does that send?
A bad one.
Bad one.
From CRT.
What are these people thinking?
Look, they're
They're
just
not.
deranged. They're all deranged, right? And they think this is best for the world, but it's not. Look, the whole thing about this leftist, all they're after is power. They're not after changing the world for the better. They're after power, and it's the same thing with these people that are making this film and Disney. All they want is power over people. If they wanted what is true and right, they would have made this film balanced, but they didn't.
There you go, folks.
There you go.
One of many new faces this evening. M. Duke 84. This great comment. One of my favourite films. That's like when kids kill bugs in Starship Troopers. You know, when they're treading on the bugs.
Yeah. Like they're doing their part.
It's just ridiculous.
more?
The film is ridiculous. Seriously, don't. Look, anyone listening now, please do not go and watch this film. This film is absolute trash.
Yeah, and what was the point of them taking a ship out to the middle of the ocean? I'm all like, why are you giving them the high ground or the low ocean or whatever? I'm like, you're taking their strength is the ocean, and you're just gonna go out in the middle of it. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Who thought of this?
My enemies control the water, so my plan is to meet them in the water. It's very
Exactly.
good idea. And then you have the whole the
What about the bit-
dehumidifying ship as well.
What about the bit where he goes? Namor says his real name.
Namor.
I almost laughed my head off when he goes, my real name is whatever it was. I was like, what the hell is this? I couldn't myself laugh.
You racist.
Well, there's the bit with the Spanish priest when they attack the island. The entire thing is nonsense. So his mum dies of SAD because she can't go back on land, even though they've already invented the breathers, which allow them to go back on land to where she wanted to go but decided not to kill the Spanish colonizers, which they could have done because they did it very easily. And the Spanish priest guy says, you're a child without love. And apparently from that moment, he basically said, yeah, you know what? I am. I'm going to play up to that label for no adequately explored reason. I am a child without love. I'm just an evil bastard. And he went there for love. He went there to bury his dead mum, who needn't have died because she could have gone there at any point, but didn't want to. No, nonsense. But the Wakanda point, and going back to that sort of not going to see the film or what it's doing in terms of social engineering, it's depressing to hear that there are movie theaters in presumably relatively sane parts of America where that sort of line is cheered, the colonizer in chains line. But that sort of Wakanda has always been this quite unpleasant ideal that was only actually redeemed by the character of the Black Panther. So like, Wakanda is fundamentally, it is exclusionary. It's this segregationist wish fulfillment fantasy. If only Whitey had left Africa alone, Africa could have been an idyll. It could have been a paradise. This is all original sin. I think effectively comes from Africa's engagement with the world. And if you look at any other MCU character, it's all about sort of universal aspirations. So you get all of these different people from different backgrounds. They come together, they fight for a common goal, no matter what their own grievances against each other are. Tony Stark and Captain America have grievances, but they put those aside and they work together in the end. And we realize that there is much more that unites us than divides us and all the rest of that. Like, Wakanda as a premise is the opposite of all of that. Wakanda is exclusionary, it is segregationist, and it is a distinctively African-American sort of post-colonial fantasy. It was redeemed, though, by T'Challa in the first Black Panther film. The film was shit, but the character had, he had all of this aspect of Wakanda was also personalized to him. His father is killed, by, in effect, engaging with the wider world. He has all of the same existential angst, all of the same objections to it, and it takes him time to overcome it. But the point of his character was that despite all of this, despite everything that Wakanda suffered, despite everything that he suffered, he still put that behind him and said, you know what, actually, this is how we make peace with each other as nations and as peoples and as races. And that was sort of the universalist aspirational ideal. He's dead now. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the first Black Panther film that comes out after Chadwick Boseman dies, after the Black Panther dies, Wakanda is closed off from the world again. And rather than trying to attain any kind of solidarity with the world of which it's a part, it finds indigenous solidarity with people who, until 2 minutes ago, were about to nuke the entire world and commit a genocide in the name of anti-colonialism. It's not a good sign, I don't think, for the culture that that's where we are, and that can be applauded in American theatres. I think that's a very bad thing, and to the extent that this film is successful, it again further proves that that's how far the termites have burrowed. But hopefully the second weekend box office figures will show that white people took the person's advice and didn't go and see the film, and nobody else did either.
Coincidentally, the domestic box office for this weekend, for the second weekend in the States, was 67.3 million for the second weekend.
What's that down on the first one?
A drop off of effectively 63%.
Yeah.
In 1 week.
Well, think of it this way, though, because Multiverse of Madness had a 67. So, it's in the same ballpark. I think Thor: Love and Thunder
had 68 or so, 65 or something. So it's in the same sort of ballpark, which is, I guess, encouraging because the point of comparison is
who are going to watch it, aren't they?
Well, that's the thing, right? The first film, I think, had a drop off of 30%, 30 or 40%, I think, around that ballpark. So anyone who was hoping that this film would be an equivalent cultural moment has been disappointed.
Yeah, no way.
Which is good for the actual culture, because this sort of film does not deserve to succeed.
Do you think it's because people are now wising up to what's going on?
Yeah.
The thing is, you say that though.
I was
at Comic-Con today, right? And you say all this stuff, and let's just go a little to the left a bit. We all complain about how Jodie's a bad doctor, but I was at Comic-Con today, and the whole bloody hall was full to see Jodie. So I don't know what's really going on here, because people keep saying, "Oh, we're winning the war of woke and stuff like that." To me, it didn't seem evident when I was at Comic-Con today. It really didn't.
Ironside was there.
Well, just bear in mind that a hall is only going to contain so many hundreds of people.
I know that. But,
all of them.
Yeah, I know. But seriously, though, people were queuing up to see her as much as they wanted to see David Tennant and Matt Smith and the rest of them. So with Wakanda, right? Even though there was a drop, right, in America, the rest of the world's going to pick up the slack.
That's not true, because the original Black Panther. No, because the original Black Panther, if you go and look at the actual box office, typically nowadays the domestic is not even close to what the international brings in for comic book movies. Typically, it's a 60-40 split, 60% in favor of international. However, when it came to the original Black Panther, I'm looking at the numbers right now. Domestic had 52% to internationals 48%. So the rest of the world doesn't really give as much of a shit. You actually see this too with the Batman series. Like, everyone thinks Batman's worldwide popular. Majority of the time, the majority of the box office comes from domestic. Americans like Batman a lot more than the rest of the world. Same applies for Black Panther. If you go and look at the the sequel's numbers, it's actually worse than the original Black Panthers. So I was saying this movie is going to be lucky to hit like 750 total.
But
Yeah,
it's
I think
it's the
everybody's
media
saying about
that's
800,
keeping them
yes.
up there, isn't it? Movie
Yeah.
Cynic. It's the media that's actually,
Yes,
you know.
Oh yeah. It's like smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
I
But
had
the
to
thing is,
read a
that's
lot of that.
we need to get rid. We need to stop that. Yes, we can stop watching the movies, and the numbers can decline. But we need to stop the media from actually boosting this stuff. Again, you know, the Lord is right. Social engineering through the media and through their films now, and I just think it's insidious. And I just seriously,
The media
all jokes
folks.
aside, I think this is awful. I think it's awful for the next generation of people entering this world. It really
It's a good
is.
point. And I think declaring victory is premature because even if you say, well, okay, take the two, Black Panther, the first one, and the sequel, Wakanda Forever, and you can see, you know, a marked drop off in public acclaim for the sequel film. The fact is, though, you know, there is still a new film out which is still popular with a large number of people. It is still gaining an international audience, which otherwise would not necessarily have been exposed to this kind of American race politics this year, not in the same way. Even if you find that it's not as successfully permeating the culture as the first film did, what seems to be happening is okay, maybe the other side is on the retreat a little bit, but people have sort of just retreated into trench warfare now. Like, it's basically... Well, we see it everywhere. Elon Musk puts his Twitter poll up to get Donald Trump back, and the result is 52-48. Brexit referendum, 52-48. The Arizona Senate race, I think, in America, 52-48. 52-48 just seems to be the default number for any kind of popular election, any popular product. And it's just evidence that, okay, maybe the woke side is no longer in the ascendant, but they've retreated into the trenches. We're already in the trenches, and people are just staring at each other across no man's land, and no one is really shifting. And so we can't really say that there's a victory there. We just hit a kind of a cultural stalemate where half the culture is nihilistic and self-hating, and the other half of it is, well, I'd say it's slightly more optimistic, but certainly hating the other side. Albeit for very different reasons. It's a deeply, deeply, deeply divided culture, divided audience, and divided politics, and this film's performance would seem to suggest that that's just going to carry on. The danger is that, you know, it seeps more into the international market where that hasn't been set in quite so much, and I don't think the world needs more of American race politics.
How's it performed in China? Does anyone know?
I don't think
it's even in China. Yeah,
it normally takes a few months for their censorship bureau to pass a film, but given that Disney usually has to censor black characters out of it, trouble
with this film is like they can't put Mask on everyone, can they? No, I mean, because Bran hasn't actually asked me what I thought, but never mind. I'll just tell you anyway.
Have you seen the film, Probby?
I haven't. The last Disney Marvel film I went to see, I think, was Dark Phoenix, and I walked out of that. So I think that was the last. I just can't be asked.
I'm out of Marvel stuff.
Totally
I'm out.
Totally
I don't know about the guys in the chat.
What is this for? I mean, it's a film that no one really asked for. It eulogizes Chadwick Boseman by replacing him with a less than adequate female equivalent.
Was it a mistake that they didn't recast?
Yeah, of course it is. They should have done another black.
The bigger channel said they should have just recast.
Absolutely. I mean, it seems very glib and morbid, quite honestly.
Yeah.
From, you know,
I'll say.
Equating the character with the actual actor by having him killed die off camera, it just seems very I don't know. It just seems in bad taste to me. I don't.
It's an insult to the actor, and that's and I have you know, they deliberately did that. They could have given him a heroic end, you know, saving Wakanda, but they didn't. They gave. I mean, I guess the Lord has a different way of seeing the beginning bit and movie Cynic, but I say, and I agree with Matt, it's an insult because they didn't give him his due. It was like they swept him under the carpet. You know, I just think it's just awful, personally.
I think they should remake it and call it Battle Wakander forever.
Yeah. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I'm not got Marvel films. I don't really want to watch them anymore.
They're getting worse and worse and worse. I was going to say, probably,
is this this is phase bore, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
To say the
I like what
least.
Gary calls it, stage 4.
Yeah.
That's more accurate.
Is this the worst film out of
No.
stage bore?
No.
No. Well, I mean, culturally, yes, but in its own terms, no.
Internals.
Yeah, Eternals was horrible.
Yeah, that's my.
But isn't this just a
Bottom
3-hour long advert for the next film, like every other?
That's
bloody
what. Yeah, every
Marvel film,
MCU
you know?
movie is that.
Yeah.
But not all adverts are equivalently shit. This
Ding
this
dong.
will do. This is worse. This is a worse cultural film. This is a much nastier film on the cultural level. On its own terms, as like an aesthetic judgment, it's not as obviously superficial as Love and Thunder, and it's not as obviously nonsensical as Multiverse of Madness. It's not a cut above them, not much above them anyway. I'd say it just about is above them on its own terms. But we were streaming Movie Cynic the other night, and I think asked to name sort of the favorite ones. I had to go with Shang-Chi just because I haven't seen it.
I've not seen any.
Therefore, it must be the
that
best
one. Was
one.
okay. Yeah, that one was okay.
But I
Same
think
here.
when you get this woke, I mean, it seems to me when you go so woke, you go around in circles, don't you? When you start promoting ethnic, majority countries and that kind of thing. If you transplant any of these politics to any other, well, let's just say the more pinkish hue, you're going to be called all the Islamophobes names there are. But I mean, but bearing in mind, it's a bad idea. You know, it's not exactly promoting togetherness or unity at all. Like Lord was saying, you know, it's a very divisive setup where you're promoting these ideas which are very segregational, and it doesn't seem very progressive to me. It's so woke, it's beyond progressing off a cliff.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a laugh, just imagine what would happen if a white guy had written about an African nation or culture. Well, they wear loincloths, they make monkey noises, and they ride rhinos. It's like, can you get more racist than that?
Exactly. I mean, it's so lacking in self-awareness. It just absolutely surprises me how people can just still clap at this and go, yeah, that was stunning and brave, and move on. This will be forgotten, you know, within weeks.
Oh, 100%.
So
yeah.
it's next consumer product and next virtue signal from Disney Plus or Disney Marvel or whatever the hell it is nowadays.
Get excited for next product, guys.
Yeah, it's so cynical and it's so obvious, and it always looks so rushed, and you see that in the work of the CGI artists who are overworked and underpaid, and it's shocking. It's just churning this out. And they can't even spend the time that they need to make it look good, but they don't seem to be able to get past the first draft either. So I don't really see much of a.
Do you think their attitude is as long as we make some money, it's better than no money?
It's content.
I don't know,
exactly
because that's a short-term gain for a long-term loss.
No, but you're using logic to work your way through this, but they don't have logic. It's obvious, you know, they're losing money, and yet they're still
logic stops
making
when you go
crap like
woke.
this. Yes, I'm saying.
When you go woke, there's absolutely no chance for logic.
It's this religion that they're basically pushing out there. I always call it a religion because it's so ludicrous. It's ridiculous. So, but anyway, whatever.
How much
it is the nihilist religion?
The only decent phase bore film has been No Way Home.
That's not really Marvel,
but
though,
that's Sony,
Sony,
isn't it?
Really,
but how much did that make? Was it
just shy of 2 billion? It was like 1.95 billion. Yeah,
and that's just one film from a Japanese company.
And Disney would make that as well if they'd stop doing all this woke nonsense.
I don't understand the logic. Does anybody understand it?
I don't. Get woke, go broke.
Someone must have compromising photos somewhere, and you know,
you can't apply logic to this, Ian. You can't. Seriously,
it
makes no sense.
You know.
Yeah,
it is going to be someone high up who's going to have some compromise. Someone's got something on somebody. It's the only explanation that makes sense. It really has to be, because I can't see any other reason.
Let's face it, though. You know, it's not. You'd have to be stupid to not see this coming, though. Really, after everything that's happened in the past, I'm really surprised how people still say, "Oh, Ian, you're being so cynical. This one could be good." What, compared to the last 10? or compared to the last
Right.
7. Do you know what I
Right,
mean? How could you
exactly.
not see the logic in that? How
Right.
this one is not going to be different?
Exactly. I am so sick and tired of being told. It's the same with Doctor Who now that RTD's come back. Oh, everything's now super uber duper positive because Jodie Whittaker and Chibnall's gone
Here
on.
you go, guys.
I'm
There
seeing
may-
all the same mistakes being made in preparation for the next Doctor,
Here you go, guys.
and I'm not falling for it
There
anymore.
may be a light at the end of the tunnel. Appion in the chat says, Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
Yeah, it looks good.
It does
looks
look good.
Friday.
It looks funny. It really does look funny. So I'm going to watch that one, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
There may
Guardians of
be
the
there
Galaxy
may be a glimmer, but I think that's
bright
just going to be down to James Gunn, isn't it?
Yeah, but the premise is really funny. What's his name? Star-Lord is upset because obviously of his girlfriend not being the real girlfriend. He gets depressed. The bald-head fella and the other girl decides to cheer him up by kidnapping Bacon.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Appion, Kevin Bacon, yeah.
That's
A traditional
hilarious.
Christmas story. I
Yeah,
love it.
that's
Yeah.
hilarious. So funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
It looks
Okay.
good.
So, do we think the writing is on the wall for Marvel?
First draft
Or is
writing.
it, or is it
No.
a slow? Is it going to be a slow, lingering death until something changes?
Yes.
Or
They have to change. I think with what is it, House of the
Do we
Dragon
care?
or whatever.
do we care?
No.
I care because I
Yeah.
love comic book characters, and I
Right.
think with House of the Dragon turning around after how much people hated the end of Game of Thrones, like yes, you can turn this around. Stop doing this dumb shit and just give us what we want.
Well,
I'll tell
As
you why I
always-
don't care.
You can't
I'll
see
tell
it.
you why I don't care. It's because Disney have proven absolutely 100% incapable at this point to produce a decent Marvel movie. Now, perhaps it needs to die a horrible death before it gets moved on or put in incubator for a while and then come back. And maybe down the line, independent films, you know, can be made or whatever. You know, I don't know how long until it becomes public domain, but probably
That's many
One away.
decades. Someone in
but maybe
in-
that's what will happen.
someone in chat said that James Gunn is the last hope of the MCU. I hate to break it to you,
Yeah, same.
but he's gone. So no, he's
outta
not.
here.
Yeah, he's,
Right.
here you go.
He's Dr.
Icy
Warner,
Fox
isn't he?
plays. Hello, Icy Fox. James Gunn is the last hope of the MCU.
Yeah,
Well, he is.
if
This
they'd had
Yeah.
any sense, that's what they would have thought as well. But they let him go to DC because DC evidently thought that he was their last
He's
hope as
got
well.
One more film, hasn't he?
We'll see which of the two turns out to be right. There's a reason to care about this, though, which is that people will quite often dismissively refer to pop culture. Pop culture it does literally just mean popular culture. If you say you don't care about pop culture, what you don't care about is the thing that the majority of people will go and see, where they get their ideas, where they get their artistic references from. The MCU has for the last decade been this generation's equivalent of Star Wars. I mean, it has been that big in terms of the amount of people who've gone to see it, the amount of cultural impact that it's had. There is a reason to care about particularly stuff like
I do
Wakanda
care.
Forever.
I do care, but just not about Disney Marvel as it is. You know, I mean,
that's
it
fair
has
enough.
to change.
But it does have to change. I mean, I suspect the change will either come from DC itself, because obviously having got James Gunn on board, it seems to have
Zaslav.
streamlined its creative team. It would appear now to have a slightly more coherent vision. If superheroes are here to stay as a media phenomenon, it will be because DC outcompetes the MCU. The alternative is that actually, I think we were discussing this on Open Bar a couple of weeks ago as well, which is that maybe this is the end of the superhero
nice
thing.
plug, by
We're
the
in
way.
this sort of we'll have to plug the little guys, don't we? Maybe this is the end of the superhero
welcome,
genre.
by the way.
We've gone through the Western phase, that came and went. We went through the sci-fi phase with Star Wars in the 70s,
War
that
as
came
well.
and went. Action, war hero,
War,
Platoon
yeah.
in the 70s, action heroes in the 80s. We've had superheroes in the sort of 2010s. All of these things, they come,
What's the
they have
next
their era,
best-
and they go.
What's the next big thing then?
I don't know. I suspect
Live
it might
streaming.
be- live streaming, YouTube channels.
Us talking bollocks.
Us talking about it might genuinely be the first film or first studio with franchise potential that learns not to hate its own audience. And then, like Top Gun, for example. Top Gun did not hate its audience. It was wildly successful. I
Fantastic
don't think there
film.
should be Top Gun sequels, but if studios look at that success and they manage to do away with their HR departments who try and tell them that that's racist, then they might look at Top Gun and say, well, maybe there's an action revival coming down the line with, typical old 80s strongmen, for example. There's something like that. It could be anything.
In the chat, the uninspired reviewer at Mr. Brown Alliance, that's me. I finally watched, this is a good recommendation, everybody. I finally watched Top Secrets. Great
brilliant.
recommendation. Laughed all the way through.
I'll tell you
It's the
what
same
happened.
guys who did,
Top Secret, everybody.
yeah.
Check it out. Top Secret.
I'll tell you what happened this week, okay? I was directing, and we had this girl in. So this girl was meant to be hot. There's a segment in there. She walks in the room. All the boys.
Are you about to
look at
say that she wasn't?
No. She was. She was
Okay.
right. So the costume person brought her a dress, and obviously the costume person discussed with the actress what you should wear.
Film
So she
talk.
turns up in this dress, right? And it was awful, right? It had these things on the arms and stuff like that, and they presented her to me with the dress, and I went, and I had to be diplomatic. Well, it's okay, but I don't think it serves the purpose for the scene, right? And you should have seen these two girls look at me like I was a piece of shit. It really was bad. And then I got really angry, and I said, put that dress on. And they went, why? And I said, because that dress is going to make her look hot. Anyway, so they gave me the evil eye, right? She put the dress on, right? Still giving me the evil eye. She walks onto the set. All the guys are looking at her, all of them, because she obviously has a great body, whatever, and she's wearing this, little black dress, whatever. We shoot the scene. I show her the rushes. She smiles at me, and I know why she's smiling at me, because she
you were right.
got that everyone was adoring her when she was on set. All the guys. Do you know what I just don't understand where all this is coming from. Now I do.
Media,
if you know what I
media.
mean. It's just crazy. Why are people thinking this way? Why is it so wrong for men to look at women that way? It's not like we're raping them or anything. It's not like we're.
Easy.
Do you know what I mean? So it just doesn't make any sense to me. None of it makes any sense to me. It's all driven.
They want to queer everything.
It just makes no
why.
sense, pal. I'm
Right.
telling you, it really doesn't.
Okay.
Anyway, whatever.
Shall we move on from Wakanda forever?
Thank
Yes.
God. Yes.
I think
It's gone on longer than the film.
Yes.
Oh God! Please move on.
Is this still going?
we still
Does anybody
doing
know?
Yeah,
Yes.
there's one episode left.
One episode left.
Anybody watching it?
Yes.
Well, you have to. You
Is it
guys
any
have
good?
to, don't you?
I don't like it, but
You have to watch it, though, don't you, Matt?
Who's up to
Yeah.
date with it?
yeah, I've seen all the episodes so far. So
Ditto.
the last one had a really cool spaceship battle
I
sequence,
kind
but
of like that one. So yeah.
but it only lasted like a minute tops, and then it was
What a
like, all right,
surprise.
well, the rest of the episode's not that great. I mean,
What a surprise!
yeah, I mean, I know,
There you
ahead.
go. Jar Jar Studios Plus Andor has been meh.
But you heard the rumors. I mean, I've heard a few. I've watched a few live streams. And some of the rumors is they deliberately made it bad.
Well,
What's the story
why?
behind that?
Yeah, why would you do that?
I can't remember what the reason was, but does anybody know?
That's going to be
that
their
rumor?
next thing. Oh yeah, we deliberately made everything bad.
But
I mean,
It's the
that's
She-Hulk
gonna be their
defense.
ultimate. Yes, it's going to be their ultimate go-to.
That's
Yeah,
no
my-
defense, though, is it?
yeah. Well, I love
really.
how I honestly lots of people are just like, when I talk to them that love the show, they're like, well, it's in the spirit of Star Wars. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Star Wars is like
Optimistic.
is fun. Okay, it's a space opera. It's supposed to have fun in there. Space battles, a little pew pew and everything. Sure, you can have some underlying messages and stuff like that. But for the
Can
most
we just
part,
stop making everything
Was-
gritty? Can
Was
we just
Revenge
do
of
that?
was Revenge of the Sith fun?
I mean, fun.
Here you
I
go,
mean,
folks. Here you go, folks. Ian Cummings. Hello, Ian. Having world building episodes doesn't make it bad.
Yeah, I'm going to stake my my flag on this. Controversially, apparently, I still quite like Andor. I think it would have been way better with half the episodes at twice the length. Because particularly in the last episode, nothing happened. It's a very ponderous show, episodic, weekly. It doesn't work in that format. But if you were binging it, for example, I think there's a lot to recommend it. It's not particularly actiony. It's not got lightsabers swinging around. I understand people's problems with its pacing, and I do understand people's problems with its tone if they want to see Star Wars being back as a relatively cheerful, quite sort of, optimistic. I understand that these are all integral things to what Star Wars was and ideally what Star Wars should be. I think as an installment into a broader universe, Andor does more world building than an awful lot of other studios have attempted and failed to do. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Just quickly, folks. Here you go. Andy Mouse 123 at Mr. Brown Alliance. That's me. It's a fantastic look at the Empire from an adult stance.
Can I just say one thing before? Can I just say one thing? Sorry, Lord. They always say there's like Empire Strikes Back, but Empire Strikes Back was about high adventure. Star Wars is always about high adventure. It doesn't matter what the tone is, because Empire Strikes Back was quite dark, but it still had the high adventure, and that's what's missing from Andor. It doesn't have that high adventure thing.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. Against that, though, I'd say that, well, there would have been a time when people said that superhero films are about dramatic stories and high stakes. The problem we've had with Phase 4 of the MCU is that we've had nothing but high stakes. Eventually, you do need some... Like, if you're writing even like a continuous single script, you need some variety in pace and in storytelling tone and style. You do need to slow down for episodes. This show... You shouldn't consider no, I'd agree with that. It is too slow. It would have been better, again, half episodes, twice the length. That I'm on board with that. But you do need, in a grand continuous narrative, which Star Wars aspires to be, you do need some moments where it allows itself to slow down, be a bit more procedural, be a bit more sort of melancholy. Otherwise, eventually, if every Star Wars film were Empire or every Star Wars film were Return of the Jedi, you'd eventually get to the same stage as we're at with the MCU, where you think, well, okay, we've done this again and again and again and again and again. I want to keep that for the films. I think the film should be that. I wouldn't like Andor as a film. That would be miserable, depressing, and horrible. But as a show that you don't have to pay attention to, which is solely there to do a bit of world building and actually explore areas of the galaxy that we know must have existed in the Star Wars universe, but have never really been shown before, Andor does a pretty good job of that. You're not obliged to pay attention to it. You don't need to watch it to understand what happens next. But as an expansion to the universe, it's a much more careful, thoughtful, and faithful a depiction than anything we've had for decades at this point.
I hear you, but still, right? You can't avoid the fact that it's too slow. And people don't want to watch it because it's too slow, and that's the biggest fault about it. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add, no one is watching it. I mean, it's barely on the Nielsen ratings. I haven't checked the newest one, and I just want to give a little pushback on this world building nonsense. Okay, what world have they built up that you want to go back to? What ferrets? You want to go back to the junkyard planet? Is that the planet you want to go back to? What world have they? What Coruscant? Because I love Mon Mothma's apartment. It's so luxurious with all the light. They've built up no world that I want to go back to. They've done no character development. All these characters are boring, and I have no interest in any of them. I think the characters are boring. I think the world building, and I put that in quotations, you can't see me, I think that's boring. This show is a snooze fest from beginning to end, and I will put money down that this last episode will be nothing special. Nothing.
I think you might be taking world building slightly literally there. I mean, I'm not talking about the building of individual specific worlds. I'm talking about maybe universe building, in which case, or galaxy building would be a better way of putting that.
Well, even there, I go. It's still boring. I mean, everything that's dealt with the Empire in this little thing that they're doing all the security and Commander Bitchface. I don't remember her name. None of this is. I find all of this it's so boring, and I'm all like, they're not giving me anything to work with here. And Andor, I'm sorry, his name is Andor, and he is the most boring character in this entire
he is. He's a complete cardboard cutout, but that allows the stuff to go on that's interesting around him, I'd say. I mean, with Commander Bitchface, whose name I also don't remember, I'm actually taking that as a positive thing, right? So she came out, there was an interview, I think, before the show started, and she said that, she's playing a strong, independent female character, and she looks around her and she says that all the men are incompetent, and everyone, of course, looked at that and thought, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go again. Then, I think only about 2 weeks ago, after we'd seen her character development, we were all expecting the bait and switch, right? So she will inevitably go good because she's a strong female character. Then, no, 2 weeks ago, another interview saying, I think it was important that people saw that the kind of the fascist tendencies that we see depicted in this film affect women just as much as men. Women are just as capable as being evil as men are. I think that's a welcome development. Now, you could want maybe more from her in terms of personality, but in terms of what she represents in universe, a depiction that actually women are just as capable of being evil dickheads as men are, and not everyone has a redemption story. That is, I thought, what we were asking for modern media.
Yeah, but the thing is that we want it faster. I mean, come on. I mean, everything you're saying may be right because I didn't take the time to watch the rest of them. But let's face it, right? When you make a TV show, you have to hold the audience there within the first or 2 episodes, and this never did. And as far as I'm concerned, what Matt is saying, because I haven't watched it beyond the 2nd episode, it hasn't. No, and so it's the fault of the filmmakers and the writers. It's
as someone who, you know...
you starred in some Star Wars films, didn't you?
He did, indeed.
Star Wars actor, everybody.
Yeah. But as someone who grew up with the films, I mean, the first saw Star Wars, I think it was on TV one Easter in about 1980 or 81 or something like that. And that was it. You know, I was out there buying all the toys, and then, saw Empire and Return of the Jedi. Saw Return of the Jedi in the cinema. Got all the toys. Remember 10p when they reduced when the film was off. 10p, you could get all the figures for 10p and grabbing them off the shelves at Tesco's. Oh, nice. And now I just look at it and nothing screams Star Wars at me. Shame. Nothing. As someone who understood the feeling of it when it was around, when it was a cultural thing, the feeling that you get from Star Wars, you had it on your lunchbox, you had all the toys, comics, you had all the things, you had everything, and it was almost as if it was absorbed via osmosis into your entire psyche. It was totally surrounding you. And it was something that you were totally interlinked with. And now I feel such an utter disconnect with the Disney Star Wars brand. It nothing screams Star. Yes, you have in that poster, you've got the TIE fighters there, you've got the Star, the destroyers there, and that's the only thing in that picture that makes me think Star Wars, apart from a bunch of headshots.
I know, I hear that.
It doesn't feel like Star Wars.
I hear that. I agree with that. But Andor is not a feature film. Like, Andor is not a mainstay entry in the Star Wars canon. These same criticisms you could have made against a number of entries in the old expanded universe that everybody laments because it's now gone. Not every Star Wars product has to be A New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi. If you're going to try and build the universe out, but the old expanded universe did this very well. It told a number of very small, very localized stories, some of them very dark, without much connection. Well, I don't know. There are some expanded universe issues that probably weren't. No, but I completely agree with the pacing thing. So I watch Andor in 2 or 3 episode jumps. I don't do it weekly because, especially last week's episode, which I annoyingly had to watch on its own for a different reason. But there's nothing to keep you going. So I completely agree with the pacing side of things. I'm just thinking in terms of storytelling, building out the galaxy. This is about as close to the old expanded universe style of storytelling as we've got. Now, it doesn't seem to make a huge amount of sense to me to lament that Disney ditched the old expanded universe and then to complain that Andor deploys exactly the same storytelling tropes, ideas, and pacing. I think we should be a little bit more, maybe more forgiving of it, just in terms of the fact that it is not supposed to be the main headline thing that everyone has to watch. It's an optional entry. It's filling in a gap. You can ignore it if you want.
The trouble is the main thrust of the cinematic experience isn't there to back it up. If this was
it's not a cinematic experience.
No, but if it was riding on the back of a successful cinematic experience, if there were a current series of films that were a success, and it had grossed $1 billion or $2 billion per new movie that had come out, is it? It isn't there, and because there's nothing to ride on the back of that, this is sort of wisping along without sort of having that backbone, that to build them. There's no meat on the bone. It's a carcass, and effectively, this is sort of a string of sinew hanging off.
Oh,
To people to peck at. It doesn't seem to be a part of a successful franchise anymore.
Shall we do a
seems
super
to be
chat?
the death of the empire, if you like.
I do agree with that.
super chat, folks. Jar Jar Studios Plus, $5. Thank you, sir. This would be good actually. A Palpatine sitcom with Ian McDermott.
That's funny.
I think that was the last film, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Shall we move on from Andor?
You can say that every week, couldn't he? Do it.
Yes.
Do
That
it.
was the catchphrase.
Why not?
That's the catchphrase. It's a pathway to many abilities.
Did you say one episode left and then it's
One
away
episode,
and then
yeah.
it's series 2 at some point next year? Is that right?
Possibly yes, although they've admitted that they are chasing the audience because no one is watching. There was an interview, I think,
What a
last week where they said
surprise.
they were expecting a bigger audience than they got, so they've been chasing them since then.
Right.
And I do understand the reasons for that being. I think they were wrong to expect a huge audience for what is essentially an unnecessary tie-in novel, only for people who are interested in building up that particular niche area of the galaxy that doesn't have any impact on any modern events anymore. Understand all of that. I think they were wrong to expect that. It will depend on, I guess, how much money they've put versus how many viewers they get for the finale, and then overall as to whether they renew.
Well,
there
Disney,
you go. Well, the Barry,
it's only
we'll call
so
it-
many
that's-
times. There's
That's
only so many times you can call your audience racist before they stop
Adjacent.
giving you money.
Well,
True.
and I think they've already committed to 2 seasons, and
have
that's
they?
it.
They
Yeah, I
have,
think it's a 24.
22. Is it 22 or 24?
I thought it was 24, 12 episodes
Right,
each
okay.
season.
Okay, well, I'm just going to leave the last word on this, right? Seriously, look, they should never have made this show. Andor, they only made Andor because this guy is an ethnic race. That's the only reason why I made the show. Seriously, that's the only reason why I made the show. If Andor was a white guy, this show would never have been made. That's what I think. And this show should
plus-
never have been made. Seriously.
There you go. Appion, a prequel to a prequel. Ironically, probably the only decent Star
We
Wars.
know he's going to
Disney.
die. That's it. Why
end.
bother? Why bother?
He
That's
dies,
also
folks. Spoilers. Right. Okay.
Spoilers.
Okay. This Saturday, we've got a movie choice of a voter's choice.
Nobody.
The,
I love that film.
the choice is in the community page. So to all the new peeps who are watching this, we do a movie review on Saturday. Just as an antidote to all the shite that's around. So we do like a Longman movie review. Yesterday we did Superman from '78, which was excellent.
Yeah, that was a good stream.
Next week, next Saturday, the choice is Clive Owen, Shoot 'em Up. I think that was 2007.
Yeah, I'm not very fond of that movie. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, me neither.
John Wick
Never heard of it.
from, I think that was 2014.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a good film.
And Nobody, which is the same
Nobody.
universe as John Wick from 2021. So
Mm.
those are the choices. So if you've got time after the stream, have a little look at the community page.
I was going to say, I hope the Lord comes on this because I want to rest. I just want to listen to him talk about the film so I can just sleep.
Quickly, folks.
ASMR.
Probably, which is your favourite out of those?
I like John Wick.
I might have given you a slight clue there, but Nobody. I absolutely love that film.
It's a good film.
It's so good.
Catty?
Oh, I like John Wick. And Nobody is a fantastic film. I personally didn't care for Shoot 'em Up. I'm like Ian, but out of these 3, I would like to see John Wick. I've already voted. So.
They killed his dog, didn't they?
Yeah, fuckers.
Yeah. That set him off really badly.
Movie, I've been told you like movies.
I do sometimes. I will go with John Wick. I just watched all 3 actually this week. So
Wow.
pretty funny. This is the poll, but yeah, John Wick 100% for me.
Oh, just want to say one thing, okay, right? I'm not gay, but man, you're good looking. I watched your video and I was like,
Especially with the
this is movie Cynic. This guy should be a model. What's going
yeah,
on
he's a
there?
good-looking boy, everybody.
What the hell? I'm the ugliest one here.
I'm not gay, but
fantastic musician. Fantastic.
All right. It's madness.
Oh my goodness! Thank you.
He's blushing now, folks.
He's blushing.
Lord, which would you choose out of these?
but now being a professional critic, it's about time to admit that I've seen none of them,
You've not seen Superman.
I've not seen any
So
of these
you're
three,
not
and
a
I've only
professional
heard of one of them, and that's
What?
John Wick. But I've not seen nobody. I've not seen John Wick, and I've not seen Shoot 'Em Up, so I don't know.
You are
You
pulling
must
my
watch
chain.
everybody. Absolutely.
That's insane.
Oh, speaking of Superman, I was watching Superman the movie just last night because I introduced it to a friend of mine who
Fantastic.
hadn't seen it before. I remember I was 4 years old when I went to see that at the cinema. It's the only time my dad took me to the cinema, and I got to see my first proper grown-up movie, and it was Superman, and I absolutely fell in love with that.
Oh wow!
Well, we can
It
always
was my
send it
first
to you,
non-Disney
Lord.
movie.
We can always send you Nobody and John Wick and whatever.
yeah.
Whatever
They're-
gets chosen, we can
For-
send
Yeah,
you.
no, pin me over whatever's up.
For different reasons, all the films are good. I just think Shoot 'Em Up was kind of silly but fun.
Very silly. Yeah.
Well, touch
Yeah.
wood, I will be available on Saturday, assuming I get Black Panther 2 done in time.
Oh,
which I
good.
should
I can get
because
my
it's short.
pillow
so,
out.
So yeah, whatever's picked, I will make sure I will watch it.
Ian, which one stands out for you, and then we'll move on.
Yeah. Oh, me?
Which one, but your choice.
It's a choice between John Wick and Nobody. I like both of those equally.
I do like Nobody, but
Yeah,
I like
it
John
is
Wick
good.
as well. Anyway, okay. So as I said, folks, community page after this stream or at your convenience. Have a look, make a choice, make a vote. The vote is open till this Thursday, and then it gives me a couple of days to get a presentation together, and we will do that next Saturday evening. Okay, so shall we move on, folks? I think we should. Yes. So we've done the kind of entertainment stuff, so we'll kind of dissect the Twitter and the social media stuff. This is our favourite part of the programme, actually. Lord Cord's News Round. I've updated the graphics. Can you see that, Lord?
Well, you say you've updated them, but I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, did you use an Atari?
He did.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so let's see what we've got to offer. Speaking of Wakanda,
Are they going to
McDonald's-
introduce a black clown for this meal?
Oh my god! It looked like a black and white minstrel there.
Ronald McDonald in
That would be
blackface.
Who's going to buy one of these then? A Wakanda Forever Happy Meal. Is there such a
Normies.
thing as a Happy Meal?
I mean, I might buy
McDonald's is food cancer. No.
I mean, I might buy one if my son loves Black Panther, so I might. Well, both my kids do, but my son really likes him, so I would probably buy one for my kids. But other than that, no.
Do you think McDonald's are kind of realizing what they're buying into by sponsoring?
They don't care.
Yeah, I think that they're just trying to make money, and I mean, like,
Right.
if you know. If somebody gave me money and was like, make a Black Panther video, I'd be like, all right, let's do this. So
I mean, I put a sponsor in my video.
yeah, so I mean, you know, they're just all about the money, and I get that. So
If you was actually to buy one of these Happy Meals, would you be robbing a POC of their Happy Meal? That is the question, folks.
You would.
They should have turned the M upside down, shouldn't they? To make it a
that
W
would be good good marketing.
It's actually not the most embarrassing fast food company marketing gaffe, though, of the last month. Did you hear what KFC did?
No, tell us.
No.
KFC decided, I think because their social media people didn't know what it was, that they would use Kristallnacht as a marketing opportunity and encourage people to buy chicken.
Wow.
Kristallnacht being the night where the Nazis went around killing all the Jews, and it's commemorated as a massive tragedy.
That's the channel gone, folks. That's the channel gone.
KFC did a it's Kristallnacht, guys. Buy
kosher
chicken.
Was it kosher chicken?
I don't even think it was kosher. Just that was something good.
The channel went out with a bang.
Yowza.
So okay.
That's not our fault. That was KFC who didn't know that marketing chicken for Kristallnacht was a bad idea.
Wow.
Okay, so we will move on from the fast food
I need to look into
catastrophe.
Yes.
Oh,
Ugh.
we're still on Wakanda. It's,
Oh, God.
It's the turd
God, is
that
he
doesn't
still
flush, folks.
crying?
Oh, I'm so happy.
Who would
that
like to go
Clerks-
first with this?
Oh, I'm gonna go
Natty?
first. First off,
Put your
I'm
boots
happy
in.
that Clerks 3 bombed completely. And I love how he had to like take it on the road and was all like, "Please come watch my movie and I'll talk to you about it." I'm like, not interested. But he cried at a movie. Surprise! I mean, come on, this guy cries.
Wakanda.
I'm pretty sure he saw that KFC commercial and
He's
cried
crying.
over it. Yeah,
Oh my God.
he cries over everything. So this isn't a surprise.
Remember when he was cool?
I
don't know
do.
who is
I
this
do.
man? I don't know who he
Kevin
is.
Smith. Kevin Smith.
Just keep it that way, Platoon. You know?
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
nod politely and smile.
I used to love this guy, and then he
Yeah,
turned
me
into a
too.
total douche. I don't.
I
Yeah.
remember when I liked Seth Rogen. There was
Oh
a
right,
time-
yeah.
and it's just like you give them enough time, they all just become these douches.
Yeah, they do.
Sellouts.
It's
Yeah.
so sad too.
Money talks.
It does.
And
It does.
cries and cries.
He's
'Cause
not
he-
making any fucking money, so
Exactly. Yeah, and I remember because you could see where he would do these like these halls where he would talk about like how he was going to make the Superman movie and he talked like so like he wasn't a shill and he talked freely and he said what he thought and everything, and now he's just all like, well, it's great, I love it, and I'm like, you didn't love it, you stop that right now.
He's
Why
a
don't you-
liar. He's just lies and lies and lies. Oh, He-Man is not going to be a T-Lar
Oh,
show.
He-Man.
It
Oh,
was
they
a
killed him
T-Lar
twice.
show.
He-Man. They killed
It's gonna
him
get
twice.
a season 2.
I
Also.
love He-Man. I don't like He-Man.
Platoon,
I mean,
have
it's
you
just-
heard of
oh.
like Jay and Silent Bob or the movie Clerks or anything like that?
I've heard of Jay and Silent Bob. I think
Yeah,
I've seen
he's
one
Bob.
of them.
He's Silent Bob.
Lord, have you heard of He-Man?
Oh, is he?
No,
Yeah, he's the right
the Lord has heard of Dom Perignon 65. I don't think he's heard of.
I think He-Man is a kind of Korean claret, isn't it? No, I have heard of He-Man.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the writer director of those movies. So he was
Oh.
more
He
of
used
a
to be one
cult
of us.
guy,
He
and
used
he
to be
also
one of
wrote
us.
some comic books. Yeah, he basically used to be one of us, and now he's just this douche.
But he needs the money.
He looks like a douche.
There
Yeah,
you go.
there you go.
Appion, he has become a cock knocker.
Knocker.
Yeah, right.
Interesting choice of.
Movie Cynic, how is the sponsorship going on your channel, by the way?
There is it's going really well. They reached back out and they're happy. But that's all I'll say. It's going very well.
Okay.
Do you have to actually say the advert like in
Well,
other shows?
yeah.
go click on the
I have
video and
sold
give me
out
a view,
everybody.
and
I will take a look. I'll take a look.
and you'll see.
Double
Yeah, yeah.
standards, Movie Cynic.
Hey,
Double
now
fucking
Single
you know
standards
what?
will be pretty
Okay.
good.
You know
quite
what?
honestly.
YouTube. No, I was saying YouTube put me in
Yeah.
this position, so they
Listen,
demonetized
if,
one
if
video.
you've got
so
there, mate, you've obviously put the hours in, so
That's
well
it.
done. Okay.
I did
so-
have a sponsorship people chat last week, with like
See, Platoon
Audible,
knows.
and yeah, like you know, they offer you money and you get down on your knees. That's sort of how it works. But it's there are arguments for it. I just like the idea of doing an advert for
Getting down on your
Audible,
knees, mate.
which is an Amazon show,
Lord,
whilst
why
slagging
don't-
off Rings of Power.
Yeah, it is
Lord,
funny.
why don't you do?
Hypocrisy.
Why don't you get a
Bigot.
deal with Audible and do their books? You know, you could do voice. work.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah,
he could
yeah.
actually. He
Um,
could.
Can we
Tickets
put
will
an
be
advert
flying
in your
off
video?
nationwide.
Platoon, you should do erotica audiobooks.
Erotic audio effects. Oh no!
Lord, if I may, there's only one book you should be narrating, and that's Swapper's Star Wars novel.
Well, when he finally finishes it, I'm absolutely up for playing an Imperial officer because I sound like a villain.
You should do some porn, mate.
That's a decent fun. I'll look into it. I'll look into it.
We will move on from Kevin.
From porn.
Smith. Kevin, what happened to you, mate? What happened?
Yeah, I know. Sad, isn't it?
Okay, Doctor Who for the people in
Yeah,
blighted.
generic
Doctor Who.
blonde, generic blonde companion again. She's 18. I'm so
Oh, get
tired of Earth Girl 18 being. I mean, RTD when he brought Doctor Who back, he brought in Billy Pipe, and then we got Millie What's Her Face. It's just, can we do something a bit I know saying can we have something a bit different is a bit tricky when it comes to Doctor Who because we've had that and it didn't work. But it's just up and down the same bloody thing. And she seems a nice enough girl. Like when she was revealed, she seemed rather humble and rather pleasant. But the thing is, it's just another northern 18-year-old girl who's on the verge of, she just got out of Coronation Street or whatever it was. And it's not another soap opera actor.
Here you go, folks.
Again.
New face. Hello, Flat Earth Globalist. Hello, sir. I would love Doctor Who if it was about Doctor Who. I think
Remember those days? Remember those days?
Yeah, the good old days. Ian, you have feelings about this? What do you think?
I just, you know what, right? When she came out the TARDIS and she opened her mouth, I thought, no. Because I saw the picture of her and I thought, she looks all right. She looks all right. And then she opened her mouth. Remember, it was like David Beckham. Do you remember all the girls used to fancy him? And then they interviewed him on TV. And he opened his mouth and they were like, what the hell's this? So I hope she looks all right. She looks a bit tasty.
Pretty.
Yeah, she's made, obviously, accidentally shaved half of her eyebrow off accidentally. But there you go.
That's a scar from an accident, apparently.
Oh, okay. Kid, But hopefully it will work. I got my fingers crossed on this new season, but I'm with Probbies. I don't think it's going to work, man. I think all the politics are going to be slammed into there. But fingers crossed,
Everybody's waiting for the Tennant 3 episodes, aren't they? To be fair,
the bait and switch, as we like to call it, the bridge doctor that he's being called now, because and that's the thing. A lot of people who grew up with Tennant as their doctor. I mean, I've heard certain people complaining about it that they don't want it ruined for them. They've already had to say goodbye to him once, and then they're going to get him back. It's like someone said to my friend of mine said to me, it's like having a favorite uncle die, then you sort of clone him, bring him back, and then he sort of dissolves in front of you. It's kind of a bit cruel. I think there is that element to it. I think it's.
Good luck to her. That's all I can say. Good luck to her. Good luck to all of them. Because me and Lee, we want this show to work, but all the red flags are coming up. All the red flags come up. You can't avoid those red flags. So fingers crossed that I'm wrong, completely wrong about it.
As I said before,
I would rather be pessimistic and pleasantly surprised than building my hopes up and then being crushed.
As I said before, I'm sure the 3. Fingers crossed, 3 episodes of Tennant will be pure joy.
Yeah.
And then,
moving on.
Moving on. Okay.
It's Adele.
That's what I said. She looks just like Adele now.
Emily Blunt looking like Adele. This was out this week. She says when she picks up a script and it says literally the first words she reads, strong female lead, she rolls her eyes.
Good for her.
I'm already out. I'm bored. Doesn't say if she takes the role, but
no, she's out.
Did you see?
I think
Blanchett's
more women need to speak like this.
Sorry, Lord.
Did you see Kate Blanchett's the clip from her? I think it's an upcoming.
Yeah, that
film.
was brilliant.
Oh yeah, that was brilliant.
Fantastic.
That was yeah.
She's taken a role. In this film, she's I don't know what the film is even, but there's a clip of it doing the rounds at the moment. She's like a music instructor, a piano teacher, or teaching an orchestra, and the guy she's sitting teaching the piano to play the part says that I think she's playing Bach, and he says he's not really feeling white male composers anymore, and so she goes on this long lecture about how great art is great art, and people who are obsessed with race and with politics and with ethnicity and with sexuality have nothing to their name at all. They are going for politics and not for art's own sake. It's a really, really good speech. I hope she doesn't turn out to be a villain in the film, because it's a very effective anti-woke little...
Kate Blanchett in Tar.
Possibly. I've not heard of the film. I just saw the clip.
Yeah, but there was also a clip doing the rounds. It was a cartoon, and it was Wonder Woman cartoon, and Steve Rogers. She's in a hospital bed, and she goes on about men, and Steve Rogers has a go at her big time, and he has this big speech about how, you know, she's basically putting men down and stuff like that. And that was in a cartoon. That was the 80s, so that was doing the rounds, I think, like a year ago, and they should bring that back as well. So
there you go, Appion in the chat. Yeah, it's Tar, I think, and then Appion says,
"Is it like British tar, like tar very much, that kind of thing?
Is it
Or is it
Appion
like
or
tar?
Appion?
Richard Pryor put Tar into the kryptonite formula. Appion, it's a beautiful speech. It is a beautiful speech. Here you go, Appion again.
I hope we see more.
Ryan Cannell has a video covering it. Yeah, I think that's where I saw it. Yeah.
You know what? It's something I like Ryan Cannell, but his voice sometimes is grating. I don't know if you guys find that. Sometimes it's grating. I do watch his stuff.
He's the anti-chord.
Oh, is he?
Here you go, folks.
He was very nice.
Bunts.
I met him as well.
Yeah, he's a nice bloke. I've been on the stream. He's all right. He's all right.
Do we know what Emily Blunt is doing at the moment?
She's doing me.
Hot as fuck.
Not working by the looks of it.
I hope she's doing me. That's all I can say.
Did anybody see what was that film, that sci-fi thing? No Hidden Place, or
Well, the one where they weren't
with
allowed
the
to
aliens?
speak.
You've got to be quiet. Yeah. Did anybody see
Yeah,
the
that
second
one.
one? I thought
Quiet
the
Place.
Quiet Place.
too.
The first one was excellent. What was the second one like?
Second one was okay. It was okay, more or less the same as the first one, in my opinion. But it was okay. I did like her in the what's that film where she was with Matt Damon, and they were both in love, and these people race was trying to keep them apart. What was that one called? They wore the hats. They can jump through time.
The something bureau, wasn't it?
Yeah, the adjustable bureau or something like that. Anybody seen that? No.
That sounds familiar. I think I have.
It's good. It's a good film. It's a really good film. The adjustable bureau or something like that.
She was good in with Tom Cruise, Live, Die, Repeat, or whatever.
That's it. Yeah, that was
Edge of
quite
Tomorrow.
good.
Here you go.
What's
Tim,
it called?
Tim.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. Great film.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Lord?
I think I have, yeah. It sounds familiar, anyway.
Okay, right. We'll move on. Oh, here we go. This is the big news this week. I call Phoebe Waller-Bridge the cinematic Antichrist.
No, but it's not her though. It's KK. It's not her. I'm not defending her or anything like that. And I didn't like Fleabag. I thought it was as funny as watching.
She thinks
paint
she's
dry.
funny.
She's
funny.
KK's insert. She's KK's self-insert, isn't she? That's what she represents.
If you listen to Doomcock and you take everything as a pinch of salt, he's claiming
is it great?
it's all true. Yeah, great.
But they've denied it now, haven't they? They've actually come out and
yeah.
actually stated that it's not true. But
The director.
In the chat, Indiana Fleabag, yes.
I did try and meme this on this very channel a few times. Whenever we were discussing who should be the next James Bond and who should be the next Superman, I always said Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And so I'm glad to hear that someone at Disney has been taking me seriously. But no, they have denied it.
But I mean, no disrespect to her, right? But if you're going to cast a heroine, she's got to be hot as fuck. Come on. What you mean? Would you describe her as that? No.
No, she's not hot.
No.
She's got no meat on the bone. I mean, you need to be at least built up. You know, you've got to go do adventures. You've got to be physically at peak.
If it's okay to have a male character that's hot and built like, you know, why can't we have it the other way around as well? That's called equality.
Men.
That's called equality, right? So
don't forget
someone
this
more
woman
equal than others. It's not about equality anymore. It's about equity. Ian,
don't forget this woman put her mucky paws all over No Time to Die.
That's not true either, though. She wrote bits for it, but she wasn't responsible for shaping the story.
Well, not for the main bit, anyway.
Plus, is anybody asking for another Indiana Jones movie? Sorry, I stepped out for a hot minute. My kids were acting up, but nobody wanted another. The last one was terrible. So I'm like, why would you do this? I don't. I mean, I get they want the money.
Crystal Skull was average at best.
Well,
it was good to see the old boy back, but it was just average.
Well, if you take
Well,
out the
it's bloody
alien
Shakespeare
parts,
in comparison to everything we've been getting lately. So there is-
Sorry, Matt. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you
Sorry.
take out the alien bits in that last Crystal Skull movie, with the Russians and everything, and Kate Blanchett as the villain, I actually like that kind of stuff. But if you take out the kid portion and then the alien stuff, the movie's not too bad.
Apparently, the new film it's going to be about the 60s, the 1960s space race.
Yeah,
Which would make him 70.
Well, don't they time travel in this one because they've
Apparently
got?
so.
Well, that's so ridiculous. What?
Because
Time
don't
travel is
forget-
so lazy. It's like
forget
other worlds, and this. I'm so tired.
Here's-
of it. It's such a
It was
lazy
all
get out of jail free card.
it was all the ex-German engineers from World War II that effectively put the man on the moon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And question for you guys:
And that's what
would
the film's going to be about.
right on? Which I mean is not necessarily a bad idea, but I mean I'm still not interested. I don't care. But I have a question for you guys: if this movie, if they were going to make another Indiana Jones movie, would it bother you guys if they recast Indiana Jones?
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
Yeah.
Just do it like James Bond, even
Yeah.
though they killed him.
Yeah, I totally would not mind if they recast Indiana Jones and wrote a good Indiana Jones movie. Like I'm all like, listen, don't get me wrong, I love Harrison Ford.
It's KK though behind it.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not going to
but
happen.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's but
Just stick to making coffee.
What
Yeah,
they should do is recast him. But the person that they recast, he shouldn't try to copy Harrison Ford. Just like
Chris
Roger Moore
Pratt.
didn't try to copy. Yeah, just like Roger Moore didn't try to copy Sean Connery. He needs to be his own man.
Yeah.
and
Get Chris
carry on the
Pratt.
adventures
Chris
that way.
Pratt.
Agreed.
Chris Pratt would
Yeah,
be,
he could
would
make
be
a good.
good.
Yeah, he could make. a
Could
good
be
Indiana.
over saturation though for Chris Pratt and everything.
Yeah, well, that's
well,
the thing.
maybe, but he
Okay.
deserves it, frankly.
Okay,
after
so
all
obviously
the crap
that
he
was the news from the Daily Mail this week, and then Doomcock released the video, and he was just all over it.
Yeah.
of course he did.
And then
did. Oh,
this
Bishop
is the
Moore
cover.
agrees. There we go. Look at that.
there you go. Sorry, Bishop Moore, Chris Pratt, indeed.
There you go.
So
All
could
right,
you see
fine.
Chris
You
Pratt
guys
there,
win. Chris
standing
Pratt
there?
is the new Indiana Jones.
The problem is that he's 70, right? So how
80.
much can you 80? How much
There's
can you
80.
believe of what he's going to be doing on screen? That's the thing. I mean, I'm in my 50s and my knees hurt when I go up the
Right.
stairs. So
Same
how's he
here,
going
same
to
here.
swing across things and jump things and punch people? It just
Very
really
Very
carefully.
unconvincingly, Ian.
Very
Yeah.
carefully, yes.
It's just not very well at all. Yeah.
Are we going to go see
Embarrassing.
this?
no.
When it comes out?
Probably.
Is it ever going to
Probably.
come out? I know the test screenings they've got. Is it 6?
If it's
Different
true, that
endings,
is.
if it's true.
If it's true, and all the endings involve her putting on the hat and taking over.
Oh, can I just point out the time profit there? There you go. Hollywood. if
Oh, you
you're
mean this
paying
one?
attention.
Time profit in the chat. That's problem being that's usually for indie. Yeah.
It is.
I just maybe
Wow,
they should just
thank you.
cast someone that's unknown or someone that's just coming up
I'm
on
unknown.
TV or something.
Who's that Ingruber bloke who looks exactly like?
They should cast him. But how old is he now, though? Is he in his 30s?
Is it Anthony Ingruber? Is his name?
Yeah.
Who
a bit
looks
like
the
Harrison
spitting?
Ford.
He's just spitting image.
You mean they shouldn't
There's
have
a
given
guy who did,
Aaron Reich another chance?
No.
There's a
No.
guy who was in one of the Star Wars fan films. It was a Han Solo.
Yeah, Anthony
fan
Gruber.
film. There's-
Yeah, Anthony
is
Ingruber.
that- no,
yeah,
is it
look-
him?
Yeah.
No,
looks
Oh,
spitting
no.
image.
I think you're
It's a
right.
fan film.
Probably. Yeah. That he doesn't look like Harrison Ford, but he doesn't have to look like Harrison Ford. That's the thing. So you just need to get someone that's got charisma and quite fit, and
Oh, that's me
and the
then.
girls like him. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, that's
it's
not me
probably
then.
movie cynic. Let's just get movie cynic as Indiana Jones. Just get him in there.
A blue-haired Indiana Jones.
That's right.
Movie cynic. Are you any good with a whip? A bull whip?
I don't know. I haven't tried it in my private life, but
Lies. We know what you get up to.
If
He's not held the whip in his private life. But that's,
Very dear.
I am
In the cha-
subservient.
in the chat, mjuk84 says Hans Gruber.
Right, okay.
I saw what you
But
did
but
there.
seriously, they should just cast someone that's another guy to play Indiana Jones. We'll all be okay with it. I don't care what Harrison
Yeah.
Ford says. Harrison Ford's an idiot.
Yeah,
Do you know
just
what I
not
mean?
Yeah.
So
just not the cinematic Antichrist, please.
get a good director, get a good actor, get a good producer, and get a good story, and you're laughing.
Could you direct it?
Boot it up.
Man, I would love to direct something.
You
like
direct
this.
it, I'll star in it. Let's do it.
No, there you go. Blue haired Indiana Jones.
Platoon writes it.
Platoon
That's
can
the
write
deal.
it. Yeah,
And Platoon can write it. Yeah.
I'll make the coffee. Okay, let's move on.
You're overqualified.
So more Disney news. There's going to be lots of layoffs. They're struggling.
Thank
Well,
God.
they
You
all
don't
are doing
say.
it now. Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it's Paycheck, isn't it? Bob Paycheck.
Mm.
I
He's
reckon.
gonna-
I reckon what's happened is with
He's
the
gonna
whole
clear
Twitter
out.
thing. Yeah, I think with the whole Twitter thing and the downturn is, and now is an absolutely perfect time for all these companies to now have a legit
rid.
excuse to get rid of all the woke idiots that they've
Yeah,
had
it's
to
happening,
hire for
folks.
whatever
It's happening.
purposes.
It's happening.
This is the
Yeah.
purge that's coming. I think. I hope so. Anyway.
It's also just bog standard reaction to an economic downturn. Every single tech company is laying off large numbers of staff. I think the average is
Right.
about 20% of staff. Twitter is pushing the boundary at 75% of people at Twitter.
Yeah.
But that was announced after most of these companies had announced that they were laying off staff. It's what you will typically do when you have a forecasted recession, or at least in America, something very close to a recession, because of course the Biden administration will refuse to call it one. You will see mass layoffs of staff because the first people to go will be your bloated HR teams.
Right.
And they are huge in these companies, and they don't add value, and half of them don't actually do any work. So I don't know
Not
that
at
it's
Twitter.
necessary. Well, not on Twitter, definitely not.
Don't do any work.
It would be probably premature to read it as a cultural shift, except insofar as the people responsible for the woke cultural shift are the people most likely to be fired purely because they add no value to the company. But it's not an overt reaction by the company to the woke product that
No,
they put
but
out.
I think it's a wonderful opportunity. Absolutely. Not
Yeah.
Brian. Hello, not Brian. He says a woke enema, which I think is. I like
Here we go,
That's an
folks.
image.
I think we'll hashtag this. Woke enema, folks. Hashtag woke enema.
I didn't want to imagine Mickey Mouse having an enema, but now I have to.
All this information was from a leaked memo from Paycheck. I think it's also said in that memo that he booted Kathleen Kennedy off set of I think it was Obi-Wan because she was trying to
Really?
interfere.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
But
And it still sucks.
Obi-Wan was terrible. Would it not have been a more recent project?
I think it was Obi, but I can't confirm nor deny.
I
But,
can
yeah.
tell you from experience.
Apparently, it's happening,
whenever
folks.
we-
It's happening. It's happening.
Whenever we were on set, she was always every single day she was there. So
Which film were you
it's-
in for the uninitiated, Probby?
Well, I was in two. I was in Solo and
Lost Money.
Yeah, but it's Lost Money and what was? Oh God, my brain's gone. I'm sorry. I've been decorating all day.
Rogue One.
Okay, right.
Rogue One. Thank you. That's the one.
It was.
I'm getting
Sorry,
old.
folks. It was. She was booted off. Thank you, Andy. It was Boba Shat. She was booted off the set.
And that sucked too.
All right.
That also was terrible, yes.
Yeah.
I just like in a different context. I was in a Star Wars movie. I don't remember which one. That's a very diva comment. I
I'm just a survivor of the 1990s club scene.
Same here. I can't remember any of the 90s. We were just too busy enjoying ourselves.
Yeah. That's it. Oh, it was wonderful.
I think the young people should, instead of hating, just go out and enjoy yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go out and get laid, and
they don't
have
recognise a distinction in those two
Just
positions.
go out and
Yeah, that's
just
true.
go out, be young, enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Just enjoy your fucking selves.
Yeah.
Don't hate. You know.
And Bishop Moore's right. It might be the paint fumes. That could be true.
Maybe.
Oh, you mean this? Here you go. Bishop
I-
Moore
I-
in
I
chat,
use a lot
problem
of
being high on
copper
paint
spray.
fumes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
Sorry,
it looks
everyone.
like the hashtag woke enema is beginning, folks. It's beginning.
Here's
I think
hoping.
that it's happening, folks.
Not Brian. Remember that one.
What do you think? A woke enema would entail a concentrated spray of liquid shit, which is basically what Disney's been giving us for the last.
That's very true.
Very good.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this was the I would say gargantuan news yesterday on the Twitter. Elon Musk, we seem to do something from Elon every week on this program. He asked the people, and going back to what Lord said,
15
about
million
polls.
votes. 15 million votes.
Yeah,
It's a huge,
so-
huge poll.
The
How many of
That's
those
what she
bots?
said.
I didn't know it was 15 million.
At one point, it was
15 million.
averaging
Jeez.
2 million, something like 2 million every hour or something at one point.
Wow.
Yeah, but
So-
can
Did
I
he
ask-
say that he wanted to find out how many, because he did this poll and he wanted to find out how many of those were bots. So it was a way of finding out who the bots were and then targeting those. It's quite
There was
clever,
one of
really.
the rumors, at least, but except that, of course, he has actually reinstated the account. It might have served a dual purpose.
He has,
Yes.
yes.
But
Yeah.
there were lots of memes underneath of, well, okay, yes is winning by 60%, but we haven't had all the mail-in votes from Maricopa County yet, so you could give it about.
And of course, I'm still not reinstated on Twitter, which makes me
been to
legitimately
that.
more dangerous than President Trump, former President Trump.
They should be scared of problem being very scared.
Well, they don't like gays wandering off the reservation, do they?
Kanye West has been unbanned as well.
Yeah, he's back. Babylon B is back, which is, at least that's one thing to appreciate.
I will say on behalf of Kanye, White Lives Matter.
Yeah, but
Jewish
Jews are
lives
also
matter
not in
too.
Jews are also not in control of the world, so there is that.
Okay,
Kanye
Yeah.
should see if
15 million
KFC
of
will
us,
give him a
yeah.
sponsorship.
Donald Trump replied. In fact, I'll just
Yeah.
put the graphic. Bear with me, folks.
He's not going back. Well, he
There you
says
go.
he's not going back.
So he's back because I had a look, and his words were, "I have no reason to return to Twitter."
He will if he gets
Yeah.
voted back.
Until
Well, that's the thing, right?
Until
He's got,
everyone starts engaging with him,
He's got
Oh,
86, I think it is. Is it 86 or no? It must be 8.6 million. It's 86 or 8.6 million. It's a huge number anyway. I'm gonna have to look that up now. It's a huge number of followers, and also if he's being sensible. This is also where the vast majority of journalists take their lead from. He generated billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars worth of free publicity campaign material in his run in 2016 by saying extraordinary things either on Twitter or that could be reposted to Twitter. And that was one of the many reasons he was effectively achieved media saturation. Now, he said that he wants to stay on Truth Social. It's his pet project.
Platform,
He will actually get paid for doing that. Obviously, he owns the thing. He has a reason not to go, except insofar that he wants to run for president again. He's announced his intention to run for re-election. I don't know that. Well, he's stubborn and he doesn't do sensible things very often. I think it would be sensible for him to get back onto Twitter, but maybe his ego will prevent him from doing so. He should be back on one way or the other, and it's whether or not he
he'll
can
be back
resist the urge of tens of
back
millions
on,
of
he'll be back
interaction.
on.
Yeah, give it. I mean, the next elections is that 2024 is the next US
Yeah, 2
It
election.
years.
is. Yep, it is.
Probably maybe late 2023, early 2024 would be when he comes back onto Twitter, and then he blitzes the entire media ecosystem once again. I'd be surprised if he stayed off.
Whether or not you love him or loathe him, the point is he was a sitting president of the United
Yeah.
States of
Yes.
America,
Agreed.
an
Totally.
elected official
Yeah.
leader of your country, and removing him
Serious
from
point here,
what's
folks.
supposed to be a platform for speech and
Free speech.
spread of information. It's extraordinary. That is corporate overreach of a level I've never seen before.
It's the thing that people have
well,
missed in this, in that when Elon Musk announced that he was coming back, and everybody said, "Oh,
Smoke and mirrors,
you're
mate."
saying that you're going to let back on someone who incited an insurrection in the name of free speech." Like, no, the obvious response to that is no. that's not the reason, and that's not what's happening. Whether or not Trump was involved in an insurrection or incited an insurrection is currently under the legal process of the United States. It's under investigation by one at least hack partisan committee in the January 6th committee, but more seriously by the Justice Department as well. It's for the US law enforcement services to determine whether Donald Trump committed effectively an act of treason. It is not for Twitter to preemptively, to prejudge that conclusion and say, well, because our media contacts in the Democratic Party said that that's what happened, we will remove him from Twitter whilst allowing the Taliban to have official spokespeople, while allowing the People's Communist Party of China. The Chinese, Donald Trump allegedly had a role in an insurrection, fine, but you're letting people on your platform who are complicit in genocide in China. One of those two things is worse than the other one, and you can't justify doing away with one of those and not the other. Either have no Donald Trump, no Chinese Communist Party, no Taliban, no Ayatollah Khomeini, or you have all of those people and you allow law enforcement and the federal authorities to determine whether or not Donald Trump has in fact committed a crime, because at the moment they haven't determined that.
I got banned for saying gay men do not have sex with vaginas, and
that's my money.
And that was deemed beyond the pale. But when I reported an anti-Semitic post, which was a guy threatening to rampage the streets of Paris and stab Jews with a knife.
Careful.
La 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 la. I'm not hearing you. La la la.
I am merely reporting on what
you are taking money out of my pocket, mate. Cheers.
But I'm just saying that's what happened. This was something that was said on Twitter, and I reported that, and they said that post did not break their terms and conditions. And I just think it's so utterly transparent that Twitter, Twitter 1.0, I guess now, was really not acting in the best interest of anybody other than the elites who decided that they're in charge now suddenly. It's undemocratic. All the things that they're saying about Elon Musk currently is exactly the very things that they have been themselves.
Double standards.
It's incredible. It is. It's beyond
sheer double standards.
It really is. It's 1984 meets Brave New World in some weird Frankenstein monster. It's horrendous, and I'm glad that something's been done about it. I'm just concerned that the powers that be, particularly on one side of the aisle more than the other, are going to come down on him very hard and remove that platform. I mean, I guess, I'd rather it wasn't there than have it as it was, but at the same time, it is a great place to be able to have these kinds of conversations when it's not being infested by insanity.
That's why we've got 300 people watching this now.
Holler.
It is. It's a difficult thing with Elon Musk. There are a number of things not to like very, very much about it. One of them is that so Elon Musk has said, largely, I would suspect, in order to placate advertisers from whom Twitter gets an awful lot of its revenue, and it's a deeply cash-strapped company, he has said that we are not going to start sort of willy-nilly going around perma-banning accounts as we used to do, but we will actively push, so to speak, negative or hateful content down in the algorithm, which is not dissimilar to banning people. If you're in charge of a social media company and you claim to be a free speech absolutist, and then you say, well, we will effectively ensure that no one who says bad stuff is ever seen or heard from, that's not a free speech absolutist position. That's
free
just somebody
is to be heard as well as speaking.
Yes, that is someone taking the existing power mechanism and just putting it to ends that we prefer. But that's not a victory for free speech. That's just something that he might be slightly more free and liberal in terms of what he allows than not. But that's still not a victory for the principle of free speech, which is that actually it doesn't matter whether what the person is saying something hateful, negative, or derogatory, or something that we all think is popular, fashionable, right, and good and moral. That shouldn't matter, but he has said that that's what Twitter will do. That's one thing, and I think that's at the behest of advertisers. In the second place, I think we've had this out on the stream before, but he said that he will ensure that Twitter complies with the legal requirements of governing speech in various territories, not least the European Union, which is about to pass in the Digital Services Act an incredibly restrictive definition of speech online.
He's got to have moderators. The EU was saying you're going to have moderators.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think we discussed the last time I was on, which is when he said that the bird is free, and the European Union's commissar on digital services, Mr. Breton, whom no one has ever heard of and no one has ever voted for, and nobody can vote out, says the bird will fly by our rules, which is a very sort of Chinese communist Great Sparrow campaign thing.
Well, that's what they are, really.
But he will have to comply with that, otherwise he will ensure that Twitter is not allowed to operate in Europe, and that's not viable for him as a business proposition. So that's another thing. And then in the third place, this is a guy who says, well, free speech is whatever the law defines it to be. Whether or not the law is decided by elected people doesn't matter, which is already contradictory. And then it's, well, we will allow Donald Trump back on if the majority of the people accept that that's true, which is A, contrary to the position he previously set out, and B, Vox Populi Vox Dei was explicitly against the doctrine of free speech when that first emerged. The whole point of free speech was that to protect people's speech, you have to protect them against the mob that wants to cancel them. Socrates was killed under the name of Vox Populi Vox Dei. So that's not particularly encouraging either. I think Twitter will be better than it was. That's fine. Twitter being better already. Yeah, exactly. Twitter being better than it was is a step in the right direction. But people who are saying Elon Musk can do no wrong, his principles are completely aligned with ours, we should champion everything he does and not look too critically at what he really believes, I think are being a bit short-sighted. There is plenty of opportunity for Twitter to go down equivalently a wrong direction, or to be equivalently wrong, but in a different direction.
It's literally just 2 weeks.
You have to remember that Elon Musk he's probably in a situation where he has to balance what he says and he has to balance what he does. Maybe his intentions are true, and maybe he's thinking exactly the way we're thinking, but he has to tread carefully. Do you know what I mean? So maybe he's saying these contradicting things because he's treading carefully. Maybe she can consider that, I guess.
Yeah, but then he shouldn't make empty promises. He knows what
Well, maybe he started off, and then as he got deeper and deeper, he realised he couldn't do that, and he had to change his tact. You know what it's like when you're naive.
I know it's a very difficult position to be on.
Yeah,
being the most sort of famous, richest man in the world, it's not an easy. I wouldn't want to be in his position. It is an awkward situation because you have so many people focused on this, and because we live in such a divided time, it really does seem to be whatever he does will be a sort of template for things to come, and whether it works or not will also define what will happen after.
That's why he's trying to tread carefully, I think.
Also, it's just one more very quick thing, because I know we've got other stuff to cover besides Twitter, but it's also worth noting that Joe Biden, who only tells the truth when he's not aware of what he's saying, blurts out in a press conference that there might be cause for investigating Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter as a national security threat. Elon Musk he said that in a press conference, and then he was asked why, and he said he wouldn't take any questions. But the Biden administration is not pleased with Elon Musk. It doesn't like Elon Musk, and given what we know about the ties between the Biden administration in particular and big tech companies, as was revealed by the whole tranche of leaked documents about 2 months ago, I wouldn't be surprised to see some further move from the Democrats to revisit regulations around tech companies and their freedom from laws around publishing companies.
It's all about money at the end of the day, right?
Shall we?
And power.
It is. Shall we move on?
Good idea.
Oh God, punchable face. Punchable
I wish we
face.
hadn't now.
Oh dear.
Greta Thunberg, I think she is a sleeper agent for the World Economic Forum. In a nutshell, folks, you will be poor but happy. She's trying to. She's just trying to get rid of the racist capitalist system.
It's not capitalist, it's corporatist. I just don't understand how people can get this so confused. But it's capitalism that has suffered because it's small businesses, it's family businesses, it's all that's capitalist. Anything beyond that is corporate and public companies. So I really don't think she understands what capitalism is or what communism or socialism is.
Yeah, I'd be
Whatever.
surprised if she knows where her nose is. I don't think she knows very much.
Here you go in the chats. Here you go. Bear with me.
You know nothing, I'll be happy.
Sorry, the chat moved up very quickly. I do apologise. Other Barry,
Same
you'll
thing.
own nothing and like it. Yes, you'll be happy though.
She's the textbook definition of a useful idiot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does she realise? Does she
No,
realise?
well, no.
she
Okay,
doesn't-
in her defense, she can't really. I mean, she is relatively high functioning, but she has Asperger's and a relatively severe form of that. Her parents are very manipulative, very informed, and very connected. I think it might even have been in the same interview where she was talking about the need to overthrow capitalism because her green stuff stopped being popular enough. She was sitting on a chair worth something like $6,000 next to a table worth about $15,000. Her entire house that her parents own is composed of furniture that universally is worth more than $10,000. It's incredibly expensive. But this is just fashionable opinion forming. She has very fashionable opinions. Her parents are very well connected. She's used by people who need to have the sort of the public opinion boost of being associated with a popular fashionable cause. That's basically it. Like an awful lot of conspiracy stuff just deravels when you realize that most of it is people desperately trying to seem fashionable. I'm
waiting for her to be cancelled and accused of being using her white privilege, her white feminist privilege. That's coming down the line, as it inevitably will when she falls out of favor and is replaced.
How old is she now, anyway?
She's a fucking adult now. She is 19
20,
years old.
or 19,
Yeah.
20, yeah.
Yeah, and she's a millionaire, so I love this shit. This is
capitalism
fucking
is a
hilarious.
wonderful thing. She's a millionaire for espousing
just
absolute
Googled it.
bullshit.
And I'm like, okay, so her being a child is no longer,
The defense.
right. It's no longer that. She's a full-blown adult. She's a millionaire. Her net worth is over $1 million. And this hypocrisy is fucking hilarious.
And will she own nothing and be happy?
Right. Is she going to donate all of her money and go live in the fucking trees?
Well, that's the thing with people who are in favor of redistribution is they always assume that they'll be in charge of redistributing it. And
it's other people's wealth.
But I mean, the hypocrisy has always been there with her movement because she doesn't really understand what she's talking about generally. Even in the environmentalist stuff, it was complete nonsense. You know, with the famous publicity stunt she did where she sailed across the Atlantic in a yacht to attend one of the uncountable number of climate summits, and it was portrayed as this climate-friendly way of crossing the Atlantic. And it only emerged in the back pages of newspapers about a month afterwards that she had to have a team of people fly out to America to pack the yacht up and fly it back again. It's like, you were shitting in a bucket for publicity. Well done. It worked because people are gullible. But she's one of the most fervent anti-nuclear campaigners, despite nuclear being the only way of guaranteeing renewable, mass-produced, cheap energy. She doesn't like nuclear. It's the biggest friend of fossil fuel companies are people who hate nuclear. She is not herself conning people, but she is the face of a con. That con is not any sort of mass global conspiracy. It is people who want to be fashionable, and environmentalism is the fashionable fandom.
I think part of the problem why Europe especially is effectively in energy deficit this winter. I don't think it's anything really to do with what's going on in Ukraine. It's because of people like her. Obviously, fossil fuels are a problem, but I think people like her have pushed governments too fast to go green, and as a
it's
technological
false scarcity.
we're not quite there yet,
but we never will be, right? So the ideal is that you move everyone over to electric cars, which increases demand on electricity by something like, I think it was something like 400% increase on the existing demand on electricity. Last year, wind provided 9%. And you want to increase the overall capacity required by 400%. The previous year, it provided 27%, which is the figure everybody uses. If you have an energy supply that year on year can either provide more than a quarter of your energy or less than 10% of your energy, it's not a sensible proposition. France, though, for example, is just, the World Cup is on at the moment in Qatar. The French are notably not criticising anything to do with Qatar because Emmanuel Macron's government has just struck a deal with Qatar to increase exports of liquefied natural gas because it's closing its nuclear plants at the behest of people like Greta Thunberg. It's just exporting its emissions generating capacity. It's all a huge, massive, popular, fashionable con job. Complete nonsense. I'm looking forward to the time when she's sacrificed on the altar.
There you go, John Z. She's a globalist tool. Yeah,
she is. And the point is, where do they think electricity comes from? It comes from the fossil fuel energy supplies. You burn fuel in order to produce the electricity to charge electric vehicles.
They shouldn't.
And also, you have to bear in mind
down.
that those batteries don't recycle. You have all the mining that goes into getting all these
cheap
minerals and things, and cheap labor, dangerous mining, toxic mining. So it's not very
She
green.
doesn't deserve any more time.
Swathes
Let's
of
move
land
on.
to mine.
Seriously.
Yeah, we'll move on. What we're going to do?
It's nonsense.
We're at 2 hours already, but
Carry on.
No, listen. I was going to do it into 2 shows, but I think what we'll do is we'll push through. Okay, so
There is a very short Twitter link there, though, in that Alex Epstein. No, it's not Alex Epstein. It's his name's gone. He wrote Fossil Futures, which is a very, very good book. He's pro-environment, like Michael Schellenberger is, pro-environmentalist, anti the environmentalist movement. He pointed out on Twitter that Tesla, because of its huge reliance on lithium extraction and other forms of rare earth mineral mining, are effectively fossil fuel cars. Elon Musk blocked him because it was negative tweeting, and he has said also that he will delegitimize negative tweets in the Twitter algorithm. So that will be something to keep an eye on as to whether or not Elon Musk is going to treat this as a purely private company.
Just a quick question before we move on from this.
Controlled opposition, maybe.
On 2 hours, what happened to hydrogen cars? I thought that was the future. The only byproduct was water.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Well,
we all
like
been-
anything
are we
else
all
that's a
been-
good idea, it gets suppressed.
Are we all being sold a duff one like we were with diesel?
No, because it's still difficult, because in hydrogen, it still requires fuel cells, which I know sounds quite Star Warsy, but those also require a lot of
Sounds
sort of rare
cool,
earth
though.
mineral extraction to create those. It's very difficult to turn hydrogen into a highly efficient power source just because of its composition. And then you have to install, a huge number. The requirements to install hydrogen power stations are greater than to install EV power stations. So it would be massively expensive. It simply, at the moment, isn't a viable market technology without huge subsidies, and by huge I mean bigger than the ones currently given to wind and solar. So it's not ready for the market at the moment.
Plasma engine.
Mr. Fusion.
That's the future.
Back
Yes,
to the
Mr.
future.
Fusion, folks.
From Back to the Future,
Shall
that's what we
we?
need.
If we could turn the bullshit spouted by net zero politicians
We
into
need Doc
fuel, then
Brown.
we
We
would
need Doc
we would
Brown.
be fine. You could turn the House of Commons into an electric power source.
Shall we do a couple of super chats before we move on? The wonderful Appion super chatted $2. Love your channel. Thanks for spotlighting my chats. They're very good chats. That's why, my
They
friend.
are.
And Appion again. Seriously, much love to everybody on the panel. And
Bacon. Bacon.
more importantly, bacon.
It's not kosher. Okay.
If you
Bacon-
keep paying him, he'll keep spotlighting your chats. So,
It's all demonetized anyway. Bacon is very important
my
on this
fault,
channel.
sorry,
Let's
I've done
move
it
on.
again.
Yeah, cheers.
You're welcome.
Guy needs a
This
comb.
was.
And a sports bra.
I don't fully know this story, but this is a Bitcoin entrepreneur, isn't it? Who was
I don't understand.
literally a multi-billionaire one week, the following week, penniless. What's the story, Lord?
well, and I've been trying to avoid it and somehow haven't. There's a few things on my list I wanted to make it.
Just do it quickly, yeah.
I wanted to make it to the end of the year without ever learning what a Keffels was or a Kiwi farm was. And I'd added FTX to that list, but I've not been able to completely avoid it. So essentially, he created the second largest Bitcoin exchange after Binance. But alongside FTX, which was his crypto exchange, he had effectively a hedge fund called Alameda Consulting or Alameda Management, something like that. And it transpired that he had been using the deposits placed in Bitcoin or various different cryptocurrencies by normal people to fund the activities of a different company. He was the second largest individual donor to the Democratic Party in the United States midterms. He'd been using an awful lot of normal people's money in ways that you can't traditionally get away with, for example, if you are a bank. But because he'd headquartered his company in the Bahamas, where the regulatory authorities are quite lax, it was effectively run as a great big student union company. No one kept any records. Nobody had any account of what was going on. Nobody even kept accounts. The guy who's been put in charge of the bankruptcy, since Binance failed to buy them out because they thought it was just completely beyond their capacity, has said that he was in charge of the Enron collapse. And Enron is previously known as probably the single biggest instance of financial malpractice in the history of market economics.
Right.
The guy in charge of the FTX bankruptcy case was in charge of Enron, and he has now said of FTX, he has never before experienced an example of such poor record keeping and general business malpractice. This guy has, I don't remember his name. He's got a very strange guy. He's in like polyamorous relationships with people he ran the company with. I think he's now in the Bahamas himself.
The media were loving him, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. He was on Meet the Press. He was on MSNBC. He was on NBC. He's been on everywhere because he's a huge Democrat donor. And everyone treated him as the next Warren Buffett. And now he's disappeared to the Bahamas. For legal reasons, we have to say purely coincidentally, there's a large amount of missing money from FTX itself. No one seems to be able to get hold of him. A journalist who was in contact with him on Twitter did manage to get some information out of him and said, you presented yourself to the media as, you're big on woke stuff, you're big on ethics, you're big on social justice. Was all of that a lie? And he basically said, look, it's a game we all play. And, I studied this and I know how humans work. So I said the things I said and I behaved the ways I behaved because that's how I won the game. Do I believe it? Not really, not very much. Because he was very well connected in the media and particularly with the Democrat Party, every single it's not quite an obituary, but every write-up of this case that's taken place that I've seen, New York Times downward, have all talked about how he was just the he was the next Warren Buffett. He was brilliant guy. We don't understand what went wrong with FTX. No one ever mentioned the fact of serious business malpractice, serious donations to political parties.
Well, you know what's happened, don't you? You know what's happened, don't you? Well, the bank man's been fried.
Yes, Sam Bankman fried, yeah. Cheers, uninspired.
There is one myth, though, that is important to dispel, because there was a conspiracy theory doing the rounds that he had been money laundering through Ukraine. In other words, he had been donating to Ukraine, which had been donating back to the Democrats. That is not true. The Ukrainians had no real financial ties with that company. So there is enough wrong with what he did and with the way the company was run without trying to add in that kind of thing. As far as we know, there is actually no connection between Ukraine, the Democrats, and Mr. Bankman-Fried. So that's sort of important to dispel, even if those keywords are additional evidence in getting you demonetized.
Is he going to go? Is he going to go down for? Is he going to go down for fraud? If anybody,
it's hard to say because probably not for fraud, because you'd have to prove fraud, which is a difficult thing to do. There's enough that's sort of evidenced in terms of the way the company was run that broke a huge number of trading rules and regulations within the United States. And the question is whether or not there's sufficient overlap between the US sort of tax evasion law and the Bahamas to justify prosecuting him on that account. I would be surprised if he did go down for a very long time, if at all.
He would be protected by his mates at the top, I should imagine.
Time Profit
I'm going to throw him under the bus.
We're just being stupid. It says there on the screen. Oops, sorry.
I can't read it. It's tiny.
You obviously need to go to Specsavers, my friend.
Have you been having sponsorship meetings as well?
Yeah, I thought about that. I genuinely thought, should I approach Specsavers?
You should do
Sam Bankman-Fried.
He is.
Or Fried Bankman.
Yeah.
Anyway, so shall we move on from this
Yes.
geezer?
Indeed. Yeah, it's an eyesore, frankly.
Okay, to more money problems. Okay. This is, if you're in Europe, a Dutch MP is trying to pass a motion that any financial transactions of your money that is over 100 euros will effectively be you'll have to account for it. So you can't even take money out of the cash point without saying what it's for.
But the EU is amazing. It's so liberal and it's so free.
So again, it's as the comics division says, you will own nothing, have no privacy, but you'll be happy. Because have you noticed when you're using your banking app, if you even make a small transfer, it says, what is that transfer
I couldn't
for?
even transfer money to my savings account without being asked a ton load of questions. It was
so it's like
it wouldn't let me do it.
Obviously the people will go, well, if you've got nothing to hide, what's the problem? Well, that's not the point, surely, is it? It's your money. You can do what you want with it.
Right.
Yeah, it's none of the damn
That's
business.
a stream killer.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
Giving on.
Yeah.
Well, moving on. Just listen, folks. Just be aware of that. So if you're using your banking app and they're asking, what are you transferring money? If it says other, just put other. Don't tell them. Right. Or if you go to a actual like a bank and you the cashier or the teller and they ask what's it for, just say none of your business. So
I don't even like that they're asking. That bothers me.
It's getting to the point where I feel like just taking all my money out and just shoving it under the mattress.
I know, right?
Not that we've got any, but anyway.
Well, that's true.
I think I'll shove my money under my mattress together with the dead body that I've got.
Quickly, your collection of little shoes.
Okay, we'll just quickly mention this one. If you're in the UK, obviously BBC Children in Need is a big thing at this time of year. I think they had one on Friday.
There's always a scandal with these things.
Apparently, the money that is raised when people phone the actual donation lines and they're closed, the money actually still goes to the BBC, and they've sat on it and they've kept the money.
Yeah, but we've known this for years.
Yeah, they do this every year.
Yeah,
and if it isn't that, then it's another scandal about where they put the money, because they don't just hold the money; they invest that money. Didn't it come out a few years ago that some of the money that was I don't know if it was Children in Need or Red Nose Day or whatever it was, but it was money was sort of sent here, there, and everywhere, and some of it ended up in some arms dealing kind of thing, didn't it? It was so crazy.
I think that was the original Band-Aid back in Live Aid, Band-Aid 1984. Apparently, some of the money went to the Ethiopian warlords.
And the U2 band with their one foundation, I think like 1% ended up going to where it was supposed to go.
Bono has since come out and said, I've been involved in international aid for a very, very long time, and I've seen how these systems work, and I don't like this conclusion, but I have to come to the conclusion that if you're giving money to massive NGOs, charities, and governments in foreign aid, it's not going to get to the people who need it. And actually, the best way of getting the money to the people is just to give it to them, and actually maybe capitalism contra Greta Thunberg is a more effective way of elevating people out of poverty than socialism is. Who would have guessed?
Absolutely.
Quickly going back to the previous story, Andy Mouse says, NatWest do that. Ask what you... If it's 100 euros for, they want to know, when's it going to be just like, say, any amount? It's just setting a very bad precedent anyway. Okay, so we'll move on. Anybody see this? I know this was not...
I thought this was
fake. In a dress.
I thought this was a troll.
It is effectively
a beauty pageant in the US, and the
Oh,
winner,
that happened here. Oh, no.
Yeah.
the winner of the pageant
Yeah.
would receive a scholarship.
How attractive is he, eh?
He's
Uh,
denied all these women
a
an
genuine
opportunity, and they're smiling about
education.
it.
Yeah, for education,
That's Stockholm syndrome in
Yeah,
action.
his name's Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tragic thing is
very
that, like,
feminine.
It's Brienne.
bottom 10% of attractiveness for a man, never mind a woman.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And he's not even good looking. I'm sorry.
Or
Like,
in shape. I mean, there's not a single one there that's got more like any blubber on them at all. I mean, all of them together probably have less fat than that. And frankly, that's really look. I'm not here to say that beauty pageants are a wonderful thing and they're a bit of a throwback, but really, I mean, this person is denying all of these girls an opportunity to have whatever the prize was.
An education, basically.
An education. Well, I mean,
An
they
education.
probably need it, really, don't they? Let's be honest. If they're happy with this, I mean, that's very an uneducated stance to be happy.
just
with
looking
this
at that, it's no wonder Donald Trump appears at fewer beauty pageants.
Are we sure that's not Donald Trump dressed up? I don't know.
I would say it would make me chuckle, but no. Anyway, go.
No, it's serious. I mean, I think a lot of these things are pointing to a lot of people. I've been listening to a lot of Kelly J. Keane, who is advocating for women's rights against the what do you want to call it? I'm trying to be careful now. It's a bit late, but you know what I mean.
So she's a racist, is what you're saying?
Yeah, basically a transphobic bigot, apparently. So she's been advocating for getting men out of women's prisons and stuff like that, and this kind of just seems to be a hallmark of where we are currently in today's society.
Side of feet in the chat, low side of feet. What's worse? All the women clapped it when it won.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
It's a shame,
robbed
isn't
of
it?
their
They're not
education.
happy.
Yeah,
They're
robbed
not
of their
really.
education.
Unless they all knew this was going to be the result at the end and they got paid off for it. Maybe that happened. I don't know.
Just crazy. Just crazy.
It
Shall we
is.
move on from that? Okay.
Yes, please.
The James Gunn, new head of DC. This is from a couple of weeks ago. This is Peter Capaldi, ex-doctor, and was it In the Thick of It? Was it?
Yes.
Yeah, the thick of it.
He's going to get a Scottish BAFTA award today.
Oh, good for
you! Just for being outstanding contribution to film
For
and
being
television.
Scottish.
Well, he's the
being
only
a
thing
good
they've
actor.
got, really. Since Rabsy Nesbitt, I suppose.
Not for being a good
good for
actor.
him.
No, I don't know whether he deserves it, though.
He is a very good actor. Also, they have a deficit because most great Scottish actors currently advocate for Scottish independence from their luxury mansions in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So he's one of the few people who's actually, stayed true to his roots. But I would give him all the awards just for Malcolm Tucker in the thick of it alone.
Hell yes, absolutely.
So much so that I can't watch him in anything else without being disappointed that he's not threatening to kill you, flay you, and wear your bollocks as skin and rub them up and down your mother at her funeral or something. It's
There you go.
You're an effing star, was it?
There you go. In the chat, Capaldi has gone all Jordan Peterson.
He would be a good Peterson. In any Jordan Peterson biopic, he would be very, very good.
Yeah.
If you can do the accent. If you can sound like
Kermit the Frog.
I mean, but does he really deserve the BAFTA, though? That's the thing. That's the question you got to ask yourself.
Who else does? That's the question. Really.
And who else is there? Who else is left?
Yeah.
In the chat, will Jodie Whittaker be presenting?
No, it was Shooty.
she fucked
Shooty
that
that
up
gave
as well.
him. Shooty gave him the award. Yeah.
And he looked really, really
He was a
camp.
great doctor. End of just fantastic for me.
On the assumption that the person who wins the Scottish BAFTA must be good at acting, then, I mean, on the grounds that they very effectively impersonate both a woman and a serious politician, Nicola Sturgeon would be probably.
But we Jimmy Cranky.
Yeah, Jimmy Cranky. She's.
And Debbie Dorsey.
I don't know.
In the chats, the mighty Z3PO, Jodie can fall into a volcano for all
Oh,
I
is that
care.
the same volcano that Graham turned up in Bolivia for no reason that we can't even, I mean, that's stupid, bloody, the girl power of the rings of the power of the day of the doctor, or whatever it was just god awful.
Here you go, folks. Flat Earth globalists ask the question: smash or pass, Jodie Whittaker?
Smash with what? A car?
Pass and
pass.
smash.
No, I don't wish her any harm. Just pass her. Just leave her alone.
Okay, shall we move on then, folks?
It would be very satisfying if you could pass her on the street, living in a cardboard box.
That's not bad.
Beautiful.
Jeez. Okay.
So they
this
found my
was-
secret stash. They found it. Damn it.
Return it to me.
This was a warehouse find in the US. All original 1977,
Must be
78.
worth
Wow.
a bomb. Must be worth a
Look
bomb.
at that. Isn't that a thing of beauty?
They are very
It
cool.
is.
And all pristine as well. None of
Beautiful.
it
Yeah.
opened. Yeah, crazy.
Beautiful. Look at that.
And how much they're going to go for then? Do we know?
God knows. Well, I don't know. Just each one. They're just pristine. The plastic's not even faded. It's just, you will not find. They're just factory fresh 40 years
What are you
later.
going to say?
They
You
are.
won't find a wretched scum. You're gonna say that.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm jealous. I every time I think about all the Star Wars toys that I owned, and I owned a lot, and I don't have a single one anymore, it just breaks my heart.
Oh, no.
I know. I used to own a bunch too. I don't have anymore.
I think I had R2D2, I had Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader.
I had
Did I
them
have
all.
Princess Leia? I don't know.
You should have gone to Tesco.
I would have loved
back
to
in
have had Princess
1980.
Leia.
My dad handed me down a load of the sort of the 70s and 80s ones that he'd
Look at them,
bought,
they are
and then I
beautiful.
took them. My friend and I, who had all of the sort of the updated at the time updated prequel trilogy stuff, we took them on holiday with us. And I think I lost almost every single one of the 70s and 80s toys in the woods because we were restaging the Battle of Endor, and so like of course you leave troopers in the forest somewhere.
It's like when
Did you
I
have the
buried
speeder bikes?
my toy car in the sandy beach of Ostend and lost it. Yeah,
I got a bit fed up with my dad because he used to collect the cards, and every like 2 minutes he was going, "Do you want bubble gum? Do you want bubble gum? Do you want bubble gum?" So he was trying to get rid of all the bubble gum.
you remember those? Oh
Here
yeah.
you go. In the chat, KK will burn those figures. She would.
Yeah, she would if she got a chance.
She wouldn't even know what they are.
Should we quickly do a super chat? Appion says, Amazon making a Spider-Woman show. Audacity.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, it's not.
You are
it's,
joking.
Well,
I want
it's-
her from the
it's-
80s costume. She has to be in the 80s costume.
Well, it's not really a Spider Woman costume or show. It's Silk,
Yes.
which is Dan Slott's creation.
Yeah.
And it's not really for Amazon. I put that up in quotes. It's for their MGM Plus streaming service, which I'm
Because
like,
they own it, don't they?
yeah, because it used to be Apex, which had that.
Oh, okay.
It had that Alfred Pennyworth show, which was not very good. I only watched season 1, but this show is going to be about Silk, the Silk Spider Woman. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's got the woman that ran The Walking Dead. Her name is her last name is Kang. No relation to
I am
Marvel.
Kang.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think they're just trying to boost up the MGM Plus subscriptions with this show. But yeah.
Is it going to be Batwoman Part 2?
I don't. I mean, if you probably, it will probably.
Oh, God.
And I don't understand what they're doing over at Sony. It's like, why aren't you guys doing Spider-Man movies? Like, I know Marvel's got Spider-Man, but you can make your
Something
own.
happening on that.
Well, they did
No.
try with Venom and Morbius, and they
Yeah,
both.
they're trying to create a separate universe to Marvel. That's what
Yeah.
they're trying to do.
Yeah, I don't understand these Spider-Man shows that don't have Spider-Man. I'm like,
successful.
stop it.
Quick question, folks. Out of all those figures, and I'll throw this open to the chat, I think you can make out all the characters. If you could have just one of those figures, just one,
Boba.
Which
yeah.
one would it be? And that's for the chat as well. So it looks like we've got Han Solo. There's
I used to have a Boba.
Z3PO in there. There's Luke, Leia, Obi, Darth. There's some Jawas as well, isn't there?
Yeah,
there?
there's
What's the
Jawas,
green?
yeah.
Is the green one up the top Yoda? Looks like it.
No, that's a sand person.
That's
And
the same. Yeah.
Sandman.
And what's the one on the top right? It looks like that lizard
That's a
bounty hunter.
the C3PO. Oh no, that's a sand
Is it?
person.
Oh yeah.
at the
Okay,
top, and then
C3PO, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's C3PO. Yeah.
Stormtroopers as well,
might
like
have that
in the
one.
middle.
Yeah, I would want a Boba Fett. Boba Fett's my favorite, minus the show.
I think
I
Han
can't-
You
Solo
can't have a
to me.
C3PO without an R2D2 though.
Yeah.
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 Well, they
I
have an
quite like the
R2 unit there.
Stormtrooper.
What is that? What is that?
There's
R2A2 or
the,
whatever.
yeah, there's the red one. The
Yeah.
red R2, isn't it?
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
crap. They keep breaking down.
Yeah.
These are really cool. I wish I had found them. They're really, really cool.
That's a proper find, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here you go. Look, Melvin. Hello, Melvin. I used to buy and sell Star Wars figures on eBay. Even some of the newer ones are worth money.
Mhm.
I sold a modern 2-pack
Wow.
for £400.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
how many
Wow.
of that 2-pack were Rose Tico?
Mhm.
I really feel like I should go out and buy a ton of Jodie Whittaker figures. So
They'll be worth something one day.
One
they
day.
might be.
Here you go, Franco. I had Darth, C3PO, R2D2 in the 70s and 80s. I
had
ruined them in the
fucking
bath. I
all
bet you
of
did,
them,
mate.
pretty much. I had nearly all of. Well, I had
Can-
one of each thing.
Can you imagine the look on the person's face when they opened the box?
Yeah,
and
why did they
just-
say anything? I wouldn't have said
It's like-
anything. I would have just took them home.
Wow.
well, social media, isn't it? Took picture of it, put it on
Yeah.
social media.
Look what I
everybody
got!
could
Look what
touch
I
it.
got! Yay!
Look at
Yeah, it's
them.
fine.
They are just beautiful.
Yeah, I would have just put them in my car and been like, what box? What
Okay.
are you talking about?
Hold on. So what? So where did they find this in America? In a warehouse?
I think it was a shop. I think it was a closed down shop or in the storeroom or something.
Wow.
Yeah,
Either way, that is a
What a
find.
find!
yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
It's a lot of money.
When
Yeah.
Star Wars used to mean something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Oh, here we go.
And
Finally.
Wow.
So sad.
Mark, I'm going to buy 500 killer drones and send them to Ukraine and kill a bunch of people. Hamill.
Okay, this was the loss of the voice of Batman, Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bless him.
Was he in his early 60s?
What did he die of?
Cancer.
Which is
Oh,
no
it's
age,
not
is it
good.
really?
Fuck
Yeah.
cancer.
I refuse to believe they haven't got a cure for cancer after all these years. Be it they
Yeah. He
have.
was 66, by
Mhm.
the way.
Oh, wow. Okay. Z says, rest in peace, Batman. It was the
Yeah.
animation, wasn't it? The
Yeah,
animated
it was the
one.
voice. The voice of
Yeah,
Batman.
he did the video games too, and some of the movies. He is the definitive voice of Batman. He
Did they give
Isn't,
him a bit part in one of the Batwoman? Like, no, the
he did, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was
It
in
was
the
the crossover
That's what-
event. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
whatever the
done
fuck
it.
it's called.
That's what done it.
And they killed him off within about 2 seconds, which was really
Yeah,
depressing.
yeah, because he was the Batman from what was the name of that? Oh shoot, Kingdom Come, where he had the the robotics to like keep his spine together or whatnot. I can't remember exactly, but it's been a while since I read that comic. But
Was there
I used
something
to
on
have that
Infinite
comic.
Earths was the crossover?
yeah.
Crisis.
Crisis on Infinite
Crisis
Earths,
and
yeah.
Infinite Earths, yes. It was a
And he
crisis, yes.
And he played Bruce Wayne. He did a good job. I enjoyed him, but they did kill him off like that, like very fast.
And let's not forget Mark Hamill's fantastic iteration
act
of
of
the
mercy.
Joker. Of
Yeah.
Joker as well. His voice was great as the Joker.
Yeah, he does do a good Joker.
Yeah, really good.
In
But I mean,
chat-
it's a shame he's gone because he went too early, and he was
Yeah,
a great
for sure,
voiceover
yeah.
artist. Yeah,
He was. He there's this great clip of him doing like an interview, and the interviewer asks him to read a line from the new
Yeah.
Batman movie. And even though the new Batman movie, I personally didn't care for it, it still was so good. I was like, oh my god, that's so good.
Don't you find that weird when people who do voiceover for cartoons and you see them in real life and then they do the voice? It's like they've been dubbed over.
Yeah, you're
It's really
so right.
weird.
You're so
Yes,
right.
it's weird.
In the chat, Melvin Deeply, Nerdrotic Gary said Mark Hamill is a piece of. I still can't get over that.
Well, you know what?
Destroy
They're
him
all-
who?
Everybody's entitled to their
They
opinion.
are.
Destroy who? Nerdrotic or Mark Hamill?
Or Mark Hamill.
Because Nerdrotic has retweeted me and I've met him and I like him, but
I've
Mark
met him.
Hamill has never retweeted me. So yeah.
Plus, Mark Hamill can be kind of a douche
Love
on
Gary.
Twitter. So
I've
mean,
met him in real life, so there
Well,
you
yeah,
go.
Mark Hamill tried to set people after Donald Trump's kids, which is a bit of a
He
low
sent
blow.
500 killer drones to a war he's got absolutely no stake in whatsoever.
The worst thing though is that he got the
Supposed to,
flag
yeah.
wrong. He
Yeah,
posted
yeah,
it in
wrong way
Polish,
round,
I think it was.
We covered
was
it as
not.
well, didn't
God.
Yes, we did.
we? Lord,
Lord.
did you stream with Gary?
Yeah, he was on
You're
one
welcome,
of the
by the way.
one of the open bar ones, and no, I've not been on Friday Night Tights or anything. But he's on one of the open bars, and I streamed with him on EFAP as well.
well, you need
Wow.
to get on that Friday
Okay.
Night Tights ASAP.
I will.
He's,
I await
So,
their
shall we say-
invitation.
He's a good
Shall we
chap.
say then, rest in peace, Kevin?
Rest in
Conroy?
peace,
Rest in peace.
Batman.
Rest in peace.
Absolutely.
Say hi to the
I-
monitor for us.
I think that is it, folks. I think we've run out of slides.
Oh,
We have.
Apart from that one.
I will
Indiana Jones with
quickly
earrings.
just go back to this one and remind everybody.
Nobody.
In the community page, we do a movie review every Saturday. We try and do something that isn't cack like what we seem to be getting nowadays. So just to kind of cleanse the palate of all the shite that's out at the moment. So
Well,
Saturday's
nobody
choice.
came out not that long ago, and it's that's.
I know
nice
there are
thing to
there are
see.
exceptions to the rule. So Shoot 'em Up, Clive Owen,
Voting Code's
which, if
fantastic.
I remember rightly, was silly but fun. John Wick, they killed his dog, and
I hate that. I hate dogs killed him.
nobody with the. All I can say is the bus scene. Wow.
It's very good.
Wow.
So
I love
on
that.
the community page after the stream, if you care to have a look at your leisure, make a vote, and you've got until Thursday because that will give me 2 days to produce a show, which will be next Saturday. It would be genuinely good to see you folks with seriously impressive numbers tonight. So
What? Really?
yeah,
Really?
12
I'm gonna have a
people.
we
12?
we have got 340 people watching, and they've stuck.
Do you
with
know?
us.
Why we got 300?
The Lord?
Do you know why? We've got the Lord. That's
We've
why.
got the Lord. Praise be the Lord. Praise
this
be.
is true. I am Leonidas. So
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
337. It's because of me, guys. It's because of
Oh.
me.
So I think that is it, folks. I will say to the chat, as I always do, wonderful interaction tonight. Appreciate the super chats. When I say we are nothing without the chat, it is true. We'd be just 6 people talking shit at each other. So, chat, you are wonderful. Hopefully, we will see you again. I will thank the guests in order of my screen. First of all, Probby, cheers, Lee.
Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't on my A game. Knackered.
Don't worry, you
But,
got me
hey, thanks for having
demonetized,
me.
so I appreciate that, mate.
Hey.
Matty Catty, cheers, pal. Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me. I always have a good time with you guys.
The sellout himself, Movie Cynic, cheers, my friend.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, man.
This is what everybody is here for. This boy, it's the wonderful
Sucking
little
up again.
platoon. One chord. Cheers, pal.
thank you as ever, and I should touchwood be around more often from now on.
You should
so
do.
Thank
Don't
you
forget
again.
your friends. Okay.
No. I've been all over the country this month, but
I know
I'll be
you've
back
been
from now on.
you've been
He's on
you've
tour.
You've been
I
in
am
demand,
literally
haven't
on
you?
tour.
Which is a good place to be. So, cheers, Ben. And last but by no means least, the wonderful mega geek himself, Ian David Diaz.
No worries. I'm still waiting for my invitation from the Lord and from the movie Cynic. So I'm still waiting.
When
I'm
we
still
start,
waiting.
we're starting a
waiting.
live stream at some
I'm
point,
still
so
waiting.
as soon as
Yeah.
we
I'm still
do,
waiting.
you're more than welcome.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that is it, folks. As I said, have a quick look at the community page, make a vote. Let's see what we're going to do next Saturday. I think that's it. So have a great. My dad's Southern. He speaks like that. Have a great week, folks. And we'll see you next time, hopefully.
Ta-da.
Bye.
Tatty bye.
Cheers.
Tatty bye. We'll see you next time. Tatty bye.